So I do want to ask you guys a question as we get started here.
Hey.
And I sort of brought this up the other day on my personal Facebook, but also on the Discord. I had a really crazy dream the other night where I couldn't find my motorcycle. Like I was leaving a family event, and I didn't feel like driving my car home, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll ride the bike. It's a really nice day, it's a cool and sunny winter day, no big deal. I'll just hop on the bike. And I couldn't fucking find it anywhere. Wasn't in the garage, wasn't out by the shed, wasn't back behind the fucking garage. It wasn't fucking anywhere. And I'm like, okay, like I know it's been a while since I fucking rode it. Did I park it somewhere else? I know it's been a while. It's been like a year at least since I rode the fucking thing. It's like, where the fuck did I put it? And so I look everywhere, and then I think, okay, maybe I'll go find my old motorcycle. It's smaller, it's whatever, but it'd still be nice to ride. Yeah, and then I'm like, where the fuck is that? I can't find my fucking either of my motorcycles. So the weird part is, I've never owned a motorcycle. Never ridden a motorcycle proper, not on my own. I've ridden with somebody. I rode bitch a long time ago with somebody, but never. I don't own a motorcycle at all. But in my dream, I absolutely remember where I would take my, drop my car off at my parents' house and then take the bike, pack all my shit up in my backpack, ride home, down the twisty roads and stuff like that. But like the concept of having a memory that isn't real, and for it to be so real that even hours after I woke up, I'm still wondering if I ever fucking had a motorcycle. Have you guys ever had anything like that?
Yes. Yes, I have. If I were to
Elaborate.
mention it now and my wife would happen to overhear, I'd be a dead man. So I'm going to refrain from telling you my dream, but I think it has to do with your heart's desire. That or you're getting close to a midlife crisis and you're really wanting a motorcycle.
Well,
Either way, get a motorcycle.
no, I'm not gonna get a motorcycle. One problem I
I
have
need
is
a motorcycle.
I have stubby legs, so therefore I would have to get one that is low enough to the ground for me to actually reach when I come to a stop. That is,
Yeah, then you get a lowrider.
yeah, I know that. But the point is, like, I've just never wanted to. I've never actually actively tried, and I don't think it was out of a desire that I want one. I think I do know in one way it is sort of substituting a motorcycle for one of my old cars. You know,
Mm.
where I used to do the same thing, but the memory from the dream was so vivid, you know. So it's more about, it's not analyzing what the dream means, but it's more of, have you ever had a dream that had memories attached to it that
Yeah,
you didn't experience,
yeah,
like false memories in a way?
yes.
Yeah. Is that the thing you can't elaborate on that because your wife will kill you?
Maybe.
Hmm?
If I do, then it would only probably prove a point to her, which would be totally and actually false. So,
See, here's the problem is that you're not talking about it.
yeah, exactly right. And if I keep on going on about it and she just happens to listen to this podcast willy nilly one day, then I'm going to get hounded until the day I die.
Mm.
So
What?
I'm
So
just going to stop right there and hand that question over to Sean.
That would be a negative.
okay, so Sean has not had such a false memory thing, but I've actually talked to Sean before about my crazy dreams in the past, like when I was universe hopping, and it was so fucking real that I like legitimately felt like I was waking up in another version of my own body in another universe, and then I would quote unquote fall asleep and then wake up again in another body, and it was so fucking weird. And every bit about that felt real. Like most of the time, you can tell a dream when it's happening because something stands out to you that is clearly absurd.
That's like a whole inception thing.
Yeah, and I was telling, we went to the mothers-in-law uh, last week, and I was telling them about it, and for a minute, like she just thought I was just talking nonsense, and then I started elaborating, and she's like, because she was thinking it was more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Astral projection.
Oh yeah.
But I was like, I wasn't outside of my body looking in on myself. I
Yeah.
was in my body in other universes. I was me as confirmed by other people, you know, including like when it first started. Because Mike, I don't think you've heard this story. Uh, so when it first started, I woke up next to a road, kind of on a grassy hill next to a pretty busy street, and it's daytime. I'm like, what the fuck? And I look down. I'm in my work uniform. You guys know where I work. Um, and I look around. I'm like, where in the fuck am I? And then I hear a jet overhead, and it turns out I'm right next to a fucking airport. I'm like, okay, and I turn around and I see a place I definitely have no fucking clue where I'm at. It's a fenced off area that is,
Right.
secured for our company, but I've never seen this before. And
Huh.
so I look up there and I see the guard shack is like right there. I'm maybe like 40, 50 feet away from it. And the guy is looking at me weird. So I walk back over there and I'm like, "Hey, how did I get here?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know where the hell I am." He's like, "Where is this?" And he's like, "Dude, you just walked out the gate a few minutes ago." He's like, "I was wondering what you were doing, but you just kind of wandered out here, and I was watching what you were doing because you were walking right at the road." I was like, "I just want to make sure you didn't get run over because it's a fairly busy street."
Huh.
And I'm like, "Okay." And then so I look up. And once again, none of this is familiar. I can just tell that it is obviously related to my work due to signs and vehicles that are pretty fucking obvious. You know, seeing many of our work trucks, is like, okay. And so I wander back in, and then I find a vehicle that I recognize the number, and it's like, okay, so this clearly has to be my truck because I don't recognize any of this other shit. I'm like, what is going on? And somebody comes over and starts yelling at me. Like, where did you go? It's like, you can't just abandon your stuff like this. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know where the hell, what's going on. And so they're sitting there yelling. It's like you gotta go. We got your shit loaded up for you after you wandered off, but you gotta go. I was basically shuttling stuff back to our center, and I looked at my phone. I hopped back in the cab. And I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta go. So I'm like, wait, I don't know where the fuck I'm going. So I pick up my phone, and it's not exactly my phone, but it's similar enough Samsung. And
Right.
and so I look up my boss's number, and I'm calling him. And I'm like, and so it's still my boss, still same boss and everything. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I hop in the seat of the truck, and then I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna go then. Like at this point, I'm just like I'm in disbelief, but I'm like, okay, something's weird, but I guess I just have to go with this.
Just gonna wing it.
Yeah, basically, it's just I was gonna wing it, and I kind of fell asleep like right there in the seat,
Oh wow.
like, and then I woke up just barely, and I could see my window. Like, this is our old place, so the window was when I woke up, I was facing the window on the side of our bedroom, and there was a super bright light outside, so I could always see a little glow through the curtains. And so it was kind of like a really hazy version of that, and then like I fell right back to sleep, and then I was like barely awake.
Oh.
Like, and then I could hear a weird noise. It was like a whooshing sound. It was like a
Yeah.
I'm like, the fuck is that noise? And I still got my eyes closed. And so I open my eyes, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like kind of mildly daylight, like a little bit gray.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that noise? So I turn up and, get out of bed, and I still haven't really opened my eyes. Like, I'm still like, what the fuck is that sound? And like, I open my eyes, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it was not our bedroom. Like, the main thing about it is like I could see light coming in from outside. Like it was probably like early morning, like 7, 8 o'clock. Sun's up.
Yeah.
And I look at the bedside table, and there's a normal like digital alarm clock, which we don't own. And instead of the window being parallel to me on the wall, it's now perpendicular, and it's at the head of the bed.
Oh, yeah.
And I pulled back the curtain, which is not like our normal curtain it was. And here's the main thing difference is it had horizontal blinds instead of vertical blinds. So not even like our same kind of fucking place. And it's raining out, and what I've been hearing is the wind blowing the rain, and it's hitting the window.
Ooh.
And I look out into a fucking parking lot of an apartment complex I've never fucking seen before. There's cars,
Wow.
there's grass, it's everything. I mean, it's not a horrible like downpour, but it's enough rain. But it's not.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's enough light that it's daylight out. And I go, what the fuck? And then I hear a woman say, "What are you doing, babe?" And I look over, and it's not. It's not my wife in the bed next to me. It's not Miss Shoki.
Who was it?
I don't know. To this day I don't know. It was too dark. I didn't really see her face, but like not the same hair color, not the same build, and not the same voice.
Was she hot?
Well, like I said, I didn't really see her. Like it was still dark. I could just recognize that it wasn't her. You could still huh?
Damn you, dream.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then basically I kind of went from there, fell asleep again. Basically, it's almost like an off switch, like someone just went doop, just. And then once again, half wake up and I see the window again, my window. Like it's almost like popping back for a second, and then right again, fall asleep again. And this
Wow.
this time I wake up in bed, and at this time I'm like, okay, something's going on. Like at this point, I've woken up and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck. And I look over, and it is Miss Shoki next to me. But I really gotta piss, so I'm like, okay, whatever that weird shit was, it's done. But I gotta go piss. I get out of bed.
Back to my reality.
Yeah, well, I get out of bed, and I start to walk towards the bathroom, and I run flat into a wall.
Oh. Well.
And then that woke her up. She's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't fucking know. I was just trying to go to the bathroom." And then I got my bearings, and then I realized,
Subconscious.
yeah. Well, no, the thing is, I realized I catch my bearings, and it's a mirror image of our apartment. Like it would be on the opposite side of the
Wow.
building.
So everything was reversed, basically.
Everything was reversed. So where there should have been a
Wow.
hallway to go to the bathroom was a fucking wall. But like all our stuff that I can see is still the same. It's just reversed. But
So
what I
you
did,
had a dream within a dream within a dream.
I don't think it was a dream within a dream within a dream. I think it was, if I'm honest, I think that I was universe hopping because I was jumping between different versions of me.
Right.
And the reason I was going to sleep again was that version of me taking over.
Ah.
And
Well.
there was a couple other instances after that, but those are the ones that really, really stuck with me. It was literally, I went to 6 other places that night until I finally really woke up in my own bed.
Wow.
And every time I interacted with someone who knew me, referred to me by name, and while the first one, when I was at work, I checked my work ID and it was me. Like same name, picture ID, all that shit. And
You have
normally in a,
possibilities.
huh? But
You have 4 possibilities what this could be.
okay.
1, it
Uh-huh.
was a really funky dream.
Mm-hmm.
2, you've been watching too much Inception, probably lately. And if you weren't, then it's not that.
I haven't seen Inception in a
3,
while.
3, you were probably hopping around subconsciously with the multiverse.
Yeah.
And 4, maybe you were witnessing something to happen in the future.
Well, maybe except for the concept of that first one where it was definitely nowhere like the airport place.
Yeah.
is not anything that exists around here. Is a completely unfamiliar thing, but a lot of the same people were the same, like my boss, obviously. So if we were elsewhere, then I would have a different boss. And my phone
Yeah,
number
could
wouldn't
be.
be the same. So here, that's the weird part.
Yeah.
Because it's like I've often thought, I was like, okay, maybe I should look up and see if there is a version of that somewhere, like in actual reality, because I can remember vividly what it looked like.
Right.
Because it was on like a curvature, like it had almost like a ring road going around the airport, and
Christ.
where the entrance was on this particular bend. And I remember cars going by, I could see the city in the distance, and a bridge was right there. And I was like, nothing about it was familiar at all. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's the thing, is like waking up somewhere completely that you have no clue where it is. Not to mention it was daytime, which means not only did I universe hop, I time traveled because it was the fucking middle of the night. Almost everywhere else. But then once again, where I woke up and it was daylight but raining, but not like late in the day. It was enough that we just kind of slept in on the weekend. So,
You have superpowers, don't you?
I don't know. We'll see. What really brings it up? One, the whole memory thing with the motorcycle really got me going on this. But
Yeah.
then the what happened 2 weeks ago, I think it was another situation where I think I was universe hopping, but I had left the bedroom because either I was snoring or she was snoring, and I just really wanted to fucking sleep, so I went out to the couch, right? And it took me a while to get comfortable. I finally did, and then I fall asleep, and then I wake up, but I'm not on my couch.
Huh.
I'm on someone else's couch. But here's the weird thing: I'm wearing the same clothes. Like I'm basically just in my night shorts.
That is weird.
Yeah, so the lady whose house I woke up in also was not a fan of what just happened. Because I knocked something over falling off her couch, which scared the fuck out of her and her little son. And I'm like, I don't know where the fuck I am. She's screaming and fucking grabs something from the kitchen, flips on the light, and I'm looking around. I don't know where the fuck I am. Uh, but all I know is I woke up on their couch, not mine. But instead of waking up in my own body in another universe, I went there.
Hmm.
And the thing is, like, once again, it's super fucking real. And so I'm panicking, they're panicking, and then all of a sudden I jumped, for lack of a better word, and now I'm somewhere else. However, it's not a living room. Fuck, where did I end up in that time? I think I was in a grocery store, something fucking weird. Like in the middle of a fucking aisle. Once again, still wearing only what I'm wearing, and then suddenly scared the fuck out of everybody who was right there.
I
Like,
think I have the answer.
uh-oh.
Yeah. You are Sam Beckett
Oh
from
god.
Quantum Leap.
I had to, no, because Sam woke up in someone else's body. He just took over their body.
That's true. But
It's more like Jumper.
instead of body to body, it's just you.
Yeah.
And you're hopping everywhere.
Well, here's the crazy part though, right? So the first time it happened, I was in my own bed and I was asleep, and I feel like I didn't physically go anywhere else.
Right.
This time it felt like I physically went elsewhere. And here's the thing, I was on the couch. So there's no way the wife could confirm whether or not I was there. It's like
You need to you need to hop into a bank vault
no,
and
I'm not gonna use my powers for evil, Mike. But
it's a test.
well,
You
here's
can
the thing.
always return it.
But here's the crazy part about that situation, the one from 2 weeks ago. Whenever
Ah,
whenever I quote unquote woke up, I was too fucking scared to open my eyes because I just wanted to be home. Like I had already jumped from place to place to place, and frankly, people were not happy every time it fucking happened. When you see a half naked hairy man fucking show up randomly in places in a panic. Um, so when I did finally wake up on my couch, the only way I knew was when I finally heard the ticking of the clock on the wall and the heater kick on.
wow. It couldn't
Prior
have been a nudist beach.
it could. Well, no, I would have noticed the temperature difference.
Mm,
Um, they probably wouldn't have been. They probably wouldn't have been too weird unless I landed on somebody or something.
there you go.
But I mean, that one also didn't feel. That's the weird part. It didn't feel like a dream. Like when
Yeah, it's freaky, man.
the motorcycle thing, 100% a dream because nothing within it made sense otherwise. Like I was in places that like just made no sense, you know, and then like I was talking to people. There's no fucking reason for these people to even be interacting with me. Like Ted Cruz was there for some fucking reason campaigning. Um, and as like, and I was actually at a deal, like for some reason, like the reason I know that was a dream is it shifted from like my parents' house, or at least a semblance of my parents' house, to a motorcycle dealership. So I went from looking at the house to suddenly poking around the dealership, thinking I'd left it there for service and never picked it up. So that was clearly a dream, right? You know,
Get yourself a bike and see what happens after that.
yeah, I'll just end up dead. Is what's going to happen after that.
That's a possibility I'm willing to take.
And given my history with past lives, I don't know if it'd be a good idea for me to have a motorcycle or not. It's like I know how I died.
Okay,
I know how I
then
died
convince
before.
your wife to get you a bike. That way you're blameless.
Right, right, right. Well,
Yeah.
I don't go mountain climbing because I died apparently in a previous life mountain climbing.
Ah,
Uh, and my fear of water, I think, probably comes from drowning in a previous life. 'Cause, like I've hated boats and water and anything like that since I was a kid.
really?
Yeah, like it just fucking I don't feel right whenever I'm over moving or even stationary water.
Oh, dude, when I'm on the water, it's like perfection to me. I love it. Sailing and whatnot, just love it.
Yeah. Well,
Man, I am just gleefully happy, even if I'm in a storm at sea, which I have been, and it doesn't phase me whatsoever.
well, fuck that.
Oh yeah,
Fuck
no,
a
it's all.
whole lot of that.
It is the most amazing feeling ever.
Hmm. What do you think about that, Sean? How do you feel about being on boats and whatnot?
Well, I swim like a rock, so it's not my favorite.
Yeah,
I don't really dig it, but large bodies of water are frightening to me. A
yeah.
huge lake where you can't see shore to shore, or the ocean scares the shit out of me.
I
Oh, you boys have to get in touch with your inner mariner.
I think we don't have much mariner in us. Like like for me, it's like if I can't see the bottom because I don't swim very good either. But if I can't see the bottom to push off, at least
Yeah.
like even like a super deep swimming pool would probably freak me out a little bit.
Uh,
Even though
you
I
guys have
know,
never gone, like fishing in a lake or nothing?
I have, but I mean, I grew up with a pond fishing, that was
I suppose.
was drownable at least. I've been fishing
Yeah.
out. I've been out fishing on the Gulf before and I was okay with that because there was a
Yeah.
fuckload of people. It was pretty rocky, but not terrible. That one, and I was also drinking, so that helped a little bit. But
That would.
I had enough distraction on that. Unfortunately, didn't catch anything, but like, um, I think when I nearly drowned a few years ago on a jet ski that overturned. That was one thing. It just like it kind of solidified. No, I don't need to play around in water too much. And then the motherfuckers wouldn't let me in the boat. I'm like, can somebody please fucking switch with me and let me in the boat? Because I really don't want to be out here after I nearly fucking drowned.
Yeah, that would kind of hinder things a bit.
And I was having such a good day.
Damn it.
And then of course, driving a waterlogged fucking jet ski is no fun. Like when it's full of fucking water and it's still trying to pump it all out.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
Damn it, go!
because I went over the wake of the boat, perpendicular, and it tried to turn back, and it ended up flipping. Uh, and I didn't get thrown off it. I actually held on. Problem is that it flipped upside down, and now I'm upside down, holding on one-handed to the
Oh
fucking
wow.
to the handlebar, and it's still running, which means it's blowing fucking gas and oil and shit down at me. Uh, so, and my life jacket was not fitted very well, so it was up around my fucking chin.
Oh damn.
Yeah, so I literally like, and nobody saw me either because the other guy on the jet ski and then the people on the boat kept going, didn't realize what had happened to me. Uh, so after like 6 or 7 minutes they fucking turned around when they realized I wasn't with them. And
6 or 7 minutes. Oh
yeah,
my god.
but
Huh. I
but
seem to recall another person around here.
yeah, I
Where did
think
Shoki go?
I think
Oh, hopefully
uh
he's not dead.
yeah, I managed to kind of climb up and was holding on to the fucking thing. It was just floating in the water upside down at this point, and they had to help me flip it back over. Um,
Damn.
and then, like I said, I was like, "Can somebody take over for this fucking thing so I can just get in the boat?" And they're like, "No, it's okay." I'm like, "No, no, no, I don't think you understand the problem here.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I get in the boat?" It's like it's like we'll just tow this thing back to shore or something. Other than
Either
that, it
you
was
get
still
in the
fun.
boat, or I'm taking you all into the water.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no. I mean, I still rode it after that, but I was very, very cautious after that. And I wasn't gonna go anywhere away from where people could see, in case something fucking happened.
Well,
But
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Especially if you drowned your friends for not letting you in the boat.
exactly.
Bodies tend to float after a while, so but hopefully sink soon.
Well, in theory, the life jacket, if it didn't come off of me, probably would have been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just unpleasant. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I guess sometimes I'm fine, but just obviously since we flooded a few years ago, I have an issue with rain and water. But it is what it is. All right. So, guys, this will be the first test episode of the Now You Made It Awkward podcast. I'm here with my good buddies, Mike
Yo.
and Sean.
What's happening, peeps?
He says things like that. So basically, we're just three nerdy dudes who can't seem to not say stupid and awkward things. So we decided to make a podcast. Yeah, that's a thing. Oh, by the way,
Please forgive us.
I'm SHOKY, for those who don't know. I'm not even going to introduce myself. I'm just going to assume you know, even though this may not even be uploaded on my own channels.
And this is the Comic Relief Crusader.
Yes, so
Here for all your nerdy needs.
so you can follow Mike over there at the Comic Relief Crusader on YouTube's. Of course, you can follow me at SHOKY Reviews, SHOKY Reviews 2, and it doesn't have to make sense. Pick a channel, fuck it, who cares? And then you've got ShaunDiesel's Body Shop just on Facebook, or do you have any other socials for that, Sean?
Just Facebook.
Okay, so you can follow him on Facebook. Sean likes to paint little robots and whatnot.
Make everything beautiful for you, the
Yeah.
consumer.
Yes. So in one way, shape, or form, we all tend to like robots, though. So that's pretty good. Mike over there actually makes pretty colors on robots, but in more of a digital sense.
I like coloring.
He does. He is a coloring nerd. And then Sean sprays both cars and robots in and of themselves. Oh yeah, by the way, how's that motorcycle come out? Did y'all finish that
I'm
yet?
about halfway through it.
All right, that thing was looking pretty sexy.
Yeah, it's a big bagger bike, so there's 18 panels in total, and every one is getting touched and graphics and airbrushing and flow coated, so it takes a while. And there was damage; it was a layover, but I'm halfway through it
Yeah.
amongst everything else that I'm doing.
Yeah, the pictures you were showing off with the skulls and whatnot was pretty cool. I did have to make fun of it for being all of 2004.
This dude's beard's from 1984.
Yeah. You'll definitely have to share some pictures in the general chat so Mike can see your lovely work.
They have no clue how to do that. Does that involve a hammer?
No, it does not involve a hammer. So, Sean, while he's really, really good with an airbrush and a spray gun, technology is not his friend. So we've had to kind of hold his hand ever so slightly through this recording process, but it's okay. It's still a steep learning curve in and of
Believe in
itself.
you, Sean.
Yeah, we do believe in you.
We believe.
Yes.
And that's where you fucked up.
Yeah.
You can do it, Brucey. No.
Don't believe in you. Believe in the me that believes in you.
There we go.
There we go. Always bring it back to Gurren Lagann.
Exactly.
Always.
Except he died halfway through.
Shut up. We don't talk about that. Kamina is alive in all of our hearts.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Remember, there are alternate realities where he still is alive.
Yeah, technically. With spiral energy, anything is possible.
That's right.
Actually, we did technically learn that. It's like, it's like, oh, sad thing. Where's my core drill? I can't. Oh, it's up there. Shit, I can't reach it. I was gonna say I'll bust out the core drill and play some actual fucking voice clips, but then watch it get copyright hit immediately.
Oh yeah, of course.
So
Because
that review was the most copywritten or copyright claimed thing I'd ever had up until I started doing music reactions.
uh,
26 claims on one video
damn.
Jeez.
for every single audio clip that came out of that prop.
Crap.
And then I eventually got them all released. So that's always fun.
Yeah.
All right. So let's roll into just how our week has gone up until now. Little weekend update. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sean was here first. Or no, I'm sorry. Mike was here first, so Sean can go first. How's your week been up till now, buddy? What you been working on?
It's been busy, busy. It's always busy around my house, man. It starts and it never stops. But I did get in something this week. I don't get in much, but I got in the Fans Toys Perceptor,
Nice.
and that was exciting.
Like everyone else this week.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, it's getting to the point where they're so few and far between. I mean, you really start jonesing when you know something's on its way. And it didn't disappoint. I mean, I still don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of these guys, but it's what it's what I wanted. So, I mean, you kind of justify paying for it. But mine had no issues. Looks good, serves its purpose. I'm excited, ready for the next one.
What's the next one going to be?
And Chomp, I believe.
No, I meant just
Skull
like in
Cruncher.
particular. Is that the one you're getting next?
Yeah. That's what. Well, I do have that SOC Megazord on its way.
Yeah, you're gonna like that thing. I just hope yours has tighter joints than mine.
God, I hope so. I mean, it's MISB, and he's a guy that I know and I've done a lot of work for, and he is extremely picky about things. But he hasn't opened this one up,
So you actually
so I'm
don't
hoping
know if
it's
there's
going to
any
be neat.
issues.
Do what?
You technically don't know if there's any issues.
Right? Yeah, that's. And I almost wanted to ask him just open it up and look at it, but I mean, it's one of them deals. But I am excited about it.
Yeah.
So it's like sealed in the box?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that'll be your you can bust her open.
Mystery figure.
I paid a little more than I wanted to for it, but I think it's all right. I mean, hopefully it's worth it to me. If not, then I'm just going to turn around and sell it.
It's a very cool figure. You know, it's pretty pleasing. I don't mess with mine really, but like out of the box I did. I mean, for those who don't know, that's the Solo Chogokin Dino Megazord from Power Rangers, or Daijujin, as it was known back then. Uh, but the only thing I don't like about it, design-wise, is how high the little guns sit on that backpack. That's the only thing that's a little weird about it. Like, they make it work because I think they're even a little bit posable. Like, they're supposed to be like almost like shoulder rockets in a way.
Mhm.
But they kind of just stick up really high, and like the mastodon legs stick out a little far. But I mean, if you don't feel like using them, you don't have to. Obviously, you know, they just clip into place. But everything else about it is really fucking solid, and I think a lot of people are excited about the Hasbro one that's coming, and I'm not, given there's no die cast. That thing is 100% plastic, and it's using hollow parts, and they still want $160 for it.
Ooh.
Typical
Wow.
Hasbro.
Yeah, I mean, even the Legacy line had die cast and was not giving you hollow parts, at least not in the last few releases from Bandai. So like the show, or not Shogun, the Ninja Megazord, there's no really any hollow parts on that thing. Which, by the way, whenever I pulled mine out of the box to put it on display here in the new cave, I went to go put the red ape Zord on, and the fucking, oh, I'm sorry, no, it was when I was packing it up, and when I went to take it off, it fucking came apart on me. I was like, what the
Whoa.
fuck?
Wow.
And then I looked at it and I was like, oh, I see what fucking happened here. It wasn't anything, it wasn't broken technically. It was just that the way the legs kind of tie together had come loose. I think there was a little screw that came out, and I fucking just tightened it back up. I was like, that's not supposed to do that. I panicked. I thought it fucking shattered in my hand. I was like, this thing has just been sitting on a shelf for fucking 5 years. What the hell?
Damn.
I am excited though. I wish technically Bandai doesn't own the rights to Power Rangers, but it still owns the rights to anything Super Sentai. As far as I think. So they could release more stuff in the Soul Chigoken line if they wanted to. They're just not. But that would be a great line because now you and I both want a fucking Dragon Zord.
Yeah, man. That I started trying to track one down, and the very few that I found, I don't want to pay those prices, man. It's pretty high.
Yeah, I think I found one for 450 the other day.
Yes, I can't do that.
No, because I think brand new it was like 170.
Yeah, 175 was the price on BBTS.
Yeah, and I wish I had ordered it, but I had too many other things at the time. And then a particular person who no longer has his toy selling business was going to get me one, but well, unfortunately, I still have not received refund or the things that I ordered from him. Pretty much a year later. So
Ooh.
I wouldn't have doubt that he could give me a Dragon Zord at this point, or Dragon Caesar, technically speaking.
Oh
Wow.
man.
Yeah. So
That's a shame.
yeah, considering how much money I'm out, that really does suck. It's like,
Hmm.
I mean, unfortunately, I did order from BBTS one of the items that he had ordered for me, but it does suck that I had to pay double for it. The other one, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get, and that's the Flame Toys Megatron. Uh,
Oh, wow.
so yeah, so he had ordered that for me, and of course, it was supposedly stuck on a ship for months on end. But then when he finally could get down to the ports, somehow he never got that and never contacted me again, and then started dropping online like he's like, "Hey, look, I gotta shut up shop. I'm gonna do what I can to fill orders and keep in contact with everybody that I can. I'm sorry this happened. Obviously, COVID kind of screwed everything up,
Yeah.
but here we are a year, probably 8 months since he said that he was closing shop, and he still hasn't even so much as sent me a message.
Yeah, I'd be hounding him.
Yeah, the problem is I know that he probably had at least 100 people hounding him. And then a lot of those probably ordered more stuff than me, so I was letting him deal with that. I know he was getting harassed, and angry people were harassing his fiance as well. Like, because he wouldn't answer, so they in round him and went to her. So I just didn't want to be one of those people. So I've made it aware to him before. So if it's up to him and he just decides to completely screw the pooch on that, then maybe I'll have to open a case if I can through PayPal. Problem is, it wasn't goods and services, so I don't know how they would
Oh yeah.
work that. And I decided at that point, I'm like, next time I'm just gonna do goods and services.
Yeah.
Uh,
If it were me, I'd be sending gentle reminders.
yeah, and he's been, unless he started up another Facebook, like he has been absolutely silent for months.
Huh.
Um, and he was already going through a whole lot. Like 2019 and 2020 were already like hell for him. So 2021, really fucked him over even worse, and he was just trying to restart his fucking life. So that was one reason I wasn't hounding him about it. Also, don't know why I said that way. um, so back to Sean's week. Did you watch anything? Did you get in anything this week to viewing wise?
Yeah, I'm caught up on the three shows that I'm watching right now,
Oh yeah.
which is Boba Fett, Peacemaker, and Vox Machina on Amazon Prime.
Oh, the new animated series.
That man, I'm telling you, it's anime, but it's like Americans make it
Yeah.
because it has our attitude and our swagger. It's funny as shit, man. Summer hates it. My lady can't stand it because it's pure guy humor. But there is some story to it. It will pull you in, but it's going to keep you laughing the whole time.
Well,
Just
it's
like Peacemaker. That's why I like that show.
well, that's why the same guys who did the Netflix Voltron, right?
Is it really?
I think so.
It's got to be, man. It's
The
Western.
the style is incredibly similar. It's also very similar to the 2011 Thundercats.
Yes, yes. To me, that's a typical anime vibe look to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but the
but that
story is not.
studio, is very particular with their style. Let me see who makes it. Oh, I didn't realize this. That's actually Critical Role
Humorous.
Productions.
What is that?
So that D&D show, Critical Role.
Huh? Have no clue.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
But it's awesome. You guys need to check it out. If you're in for a laugh, it's
Yeah,
worth it.
I thought about
I'm gonna
doing
have
it.
to.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Oh, I think that it's based off of stuff that Critical Role did. Maybe I'm wrong. I think basically they made a show out of their D&D adventures, as it were. I think is what they did. I could be wrong.
Oh.
That's what it seems like, though. But I mean, I know it's like fantasy, not really sci-fi, so that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, it is fantasy, but it's not your typical D&D, if that makes sense. I mean, it's pretty awesome. You just got to check it out. I'm pretty sure you'll like it.
Yeah, I probably will. I'm just lazy.
But I'm caught up on all
Oh,
my shows. But it's hard for me to find a show that keeps my attention because I'm so busy and I'm always having to stay on the move. But I do want to be entertained and I want to be taken away from real life. So it's hard to find a show that grabs my attention and keeps it. And those two of the three have. And I've been super excited about that. And I'm going to be sad when they go. But it's been nice.
I was actually right. That is literally what it is. The show is based on the campaign one of their Dungeons and Dragons web series from Critical Role. So like they made a fucking cartoon from their own D&D campaign. That's
That is
that
awesome.
that's actually pretty badass, not gonna lie. I don't know anybody on this. I guess Matt Mercer is the only one I know cast wise. Maybe Laura Bailey, I'm not sure. Executive producers. I don't know. I thought, I was thinking it was the same studio, but maybe not. I have to really look into it. It's very similar animation style to Voltron and Thundercats for sure. But that was well, at least Voltron was Studio Mirror before I think they rebranded. I have to really look into it though, because it's got a little bit of that Avatar type. That is the Last Airbender type animation style to a degree, where it's anime esque, but not not
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
yeah. But I guess the big like bruiser type character looks a lot like that modern version of Panthro. So that's
I
just
can
the
see
way.
that.
And then what is it? That Archer looks a lot like Korra. If you guys watch Legend of Korra at all.
No.
No clue.
Oh, okay. I love Legend of Korra. A lot of people shit on that show, but I actually really enjoyed it. Um, and you said Peacemaker and Boba Fett. We'll be talking Boba Fett specifically later, so we'll hold on to that thought. But I was going to ask you, do you tend to watch stuff like in the background, or do you actually get to sit down and watch? Like you're not having to work or build anything at the time.
Most of the time it's in the background, but it's I'm in my office, I got the TV on and it's playing it while I'm working on something. But those two shows, Peacemaker and Vox Machina, they have grabbed my attention where I'll actually put down what I'm doing, lean back and watch. And that's hard to do
Yeah,
for me.
especially when you're used to working through a show, where
Hmm.
it's just background noise. I'll put on usually podcasts if I'm doing stuff like that when it's something I don't need to
Yeah.
focus on because I found myself doing like you say, fucking stopping and watching instead of getting any work done, which is pretty much
Hmm.
the story of most of my stuff throughout the week, anyways. Um, whew, that beer's getting to me. Shout out to Manhattan Beer Project in Dallas, by the way. Very nice beer. It's a good Hefeweizen for those who like those type of beers.
Not a sponsor of this show.
Not sponsored. They should though. That'd be great. Don't send beer to Mike though, because it would cost you too much money.
But well reviewed.
Yes, because Mike is in Canada. He's all the way up there in the Great White North.
That's right.
Sorry, that's
Land of the antlered cow and tree sugar sap.
yes, that
You like to call syrup. So
Serp, and the other thing is moose. He's got moose and meese.
yeah. And we're ruled by a 10-year-old child. So
Oh, you mean Fidel Castro Jr.?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Our Prime Minister Blackface. So
Shush. We actually, I'm gonna edit that out.
yeah, nah, nah, nah,
It's
nah.
okay. Nobody's gonna listen to this anyways.
No, probably not.
Probably
So
not. Probably not. All right. Is that it? Is that it for you this week, Sean? I know you got
Yeah, man, just same old, same old.
I know you got projects you're working on technically.
Oh, there's tons, man. There's a lot of small stuff. There's a few big things that are still taking place.
Do
Nothing to really share right now.
Are you working on any commissions?
Yeah, I have one, two, three, four commissions here right now.
wow.
Models or bots?
There'd be robots, Transformers.
Okay. Because I know you do
Nice.
both. Because I know you did.
Yeah, I just finished. I finished a Master Grade Turn A Gundam. Sent that one to Puerto Rico. I finished that one last week.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, and he wanted it. He sent me a few pictures of the style that he likes, and his likes is slightly weathered,
Uh-huh.
but not like battle damaged. Just
Yeah.
flat, dirty looking.
Wait, you
Yeah.
weathered something?
Yeah, and I fucking hated it,
I
man.
know
I
that
just
ruins
wanted.
your soul.
I know. Couldn't wait to get done with this thing, so I'd never have to see it again. But he took some pretty good pictures. He got a light box set up, and he sent me a few of them, and
Oh, dude, you need to send
and
some to
I'm
it.
proud to have done it for him.
Mm.
Let me tell you something. Doing the Gundams is more fun, it's faster, and it's actually profitable versus doing Transformers. I make absolutely zero money doing Transformers, and it takes way too long, and I'm responsible for way too much. And I'm getting to where I'm sick and tired of doing them for other people.
Yeah, you told me that at least a year ago that you were tired of doing Transformer builds. Well, not
Yeah,
builds, not builds, customs.
I don't mind doing repairs or touch ups or little things. It's fast, it's easy, it's quick, it's out. But to do a total repaint of these figures takes so much time, and you're
Oh wow.
responsible for this figure. You can't break it. If you break it, you got to fix it or you got to replace it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you break it,
But
you
the
bought
amount of
it,
money that
literally.
people are willing to pay for that amount of work is redonkulous. Like the worth is not to them. Nobody can see it. I have one guy who will pay whatever I ask, and I'm fair. I'm not going to stick it to him. But everybody else, I have to, if I want the work or I want the job because I'm interested in it, I have to adjust to get it in the door, or people just won't pay it.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to see what these people will pay for dioramas that literally cost $5 in materials, and you have no responsibility but just to make it.
Yep. Yep.
Versus what they'll pay me to spend 6 weeks tearing down their $200 to $300 figure, putting $100 worth of paint on it, and probably calculating in about 80, 90, 100 hours of me sanding, carefully taking apart, putting back together, polishing, painting, taping. It just blows my mind, and I'm getting sick of it.
Yeah. I mean, basically it's almost like your day job where you're doing your body work, you're tearing this shit down, you're sanding, you're priming, you're repriming, you're filling, everything, but you're doing it on a much smaller scale, and you have to worry about whether things are going to break, because we all know, especially most of these are third party Transformers, and well, I guess you do some Takara MPs, but
Mhm.
because I mean, how many fucking hot rods have you done, or Rodimus, you know,
Yeah.
that was
There's
sound waves.
It's funny how some things stick, and then people will line up trying to get the same thing done, and then eventually you start creeping your price up a little bit,
You
and
have to,
then
though.
they just disappear,
You fucking
which
have
is
to.
fine.
I'm
Oh yeah.
almost gonna feel guilty
Oh,
asking you to do mine.
yeah. Well, here's the thing: you might pay
I
the
gotta
actual
go
price.
somewhere else. I don't want to bother you now.
Actually, the
No, it's
problem
not
there.
that. It's just
Go ahead.
if I'm gonna use my time, it needs to be productive, unless it's a passion project type thing.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of good guys that I've met doing this that are extremely passionate about it, and they give me trust, and they're willing to pay close to what it's probably worth to do this. And those are the guys that I keep in my pocket. I keep in the loop, and I'm always willing to do whatever they can come up with. And I have no problem at all doing it. But like when I went dark for almost a year, I was just so sick and tired of this shit and the nerds and all their baggage that they bring to it.
Mm-hmm.
I just set it down. I finished what I had, sent it off, and I'm never doing this again. Well, then I had some friends hit me up that I've done a lot of work for, and I was like, you know what? I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. I'll ignore this guy. This one can go to hell. So on and so forth. But I mean, it's such a headache when you have 4 or 5 of these things stacked up in here and people are hitting you up all the time,
Well,
wanting
yeah, a
updates,
lot of
wanting
people don't
pictures.
don't consider all the work that goes into it.
No,
You
Yeah,
know?
well,
most people have no clue.
no,
No, they
they
don't.
don't, they don't, and we all have had. We're all on different spectrums of doing things. Like Mike, you do commissions for a lot of digital work or a lot of visual design. Their websites actually
Yeah,
very, very
being a freelance graphic designer,
yeah,
um,
and I've heard plenty of problems both from you and other designers that I know.
God,
Um, it's always the same. Nobody wants either. Everybody is incredibly picky, or they don't want to pay for the amount of work that you need to do. Like
yeah,
like you've shared. I mean, whenever we get to you, you can talk about that website that you just had to completely redo. Uh,
God,
well, you could talk about that on your segment, but I just wanted to tease that just real quick. But talking about it, there's
yeah,
a reason I don't take commissions. People have asked me to do commissions for them, especially from my channel, like whether or not it was like I think somebody wanted me to do a Devastator repaint, like my Flame Toys Devastator. Somebody wanted me to build um the NECA Ninja Turtles weapons rack. They wanted some custom weapon racks. And they're like, "Hey, can you build me one?" I was like, "I don't really take commissions." Like, "Okay, can you release the plans of how you built it?" I'm like, "I guess I can. I have to redraw them technically, and now that I can take accurate measurements, but that's still a buttload of work on your end, even if you want to make it for yourself,
oh
when
yeah,
you could just spend the $50 and buy the set that comes with it, I built mine out of necessity because I didn't have access. Now I have more of them than I need, technically speaking. Um, but when it comes to like I'm looking at these because I just got these train bots in, and while there is a lot of paint on them, most of what is on that is actually just like a metallic clear coat
yeah,
over
Yeah.
plastic. And I'm
right.
just looking at it, I'm like, how good would these look with a full paint job? And then I went, maybe I'll ask Sean. And then I said, no, I'm not gonna fucking do that because I'm not an idiot. It's like, but I did want to actually commission you for some custom 5.2 toys repaints. But at least they're tiny, in comparison. But I
Yeah,
know.
I mean things like that. It's no big deal. It's just
Oh,
when you've got a
wait till somebody wants their legends
masterpiece scale
repainted.
transformer that's over 300, closer to 400 parts,
Yeah.
and it takes a long time, especially when you know these people are going to be messing with them.
Yep. If they never want to
You know,
touch it again, or if they never want to transform it again, that's like your dream. It's like, okay,
yes,
there's
it's
certain
so much faster and easier to do that. But when I know they're going to be jacking with them, I mean, you test fit parts over and over, and in the end, you're still taking a guess on the mill thickness. Like maybe that's going to work. I hope
exactly,
so.
exactly, and that's why so just real quick though, all the flame toys builds you've done
Mhm.
much more fun.
Yes, yes. I mean, model kits in general are just so much easier because I don't have to bust them down.
They're already
Because like the
busted.
right, yeah, these transformers, I mean, they're not meant to be taken apart. These
No,
pins, the blind print plans, the rivets, those are a pain in the ass, and you take a chance and just snapping these things to pieces every time you have to take one of those out. A model kit, you just snap it together. You, if you've done it a while, you can see maybe some problem areas that will arise, and you can handle it before it's assembled.
or you
Yeah,
do dry assembly to check clearances for say like the shoulder armor on certain things,
Right,
or where
and then
the knees sandwich together, you have to clearance those joints. Same thing for elbows, and that's where I screwed up on some of my earlier ones, like my when I did my first few primes. I didn't clearance them as well as I should have, but by the time I got around to what was my latest one? Oh, the G1 prime. I did a decent job clearing, except on one knee that is ever so slightly too tight. And I see it and it's like,
mhm,
okay, well, I'm not going to flex that knee very much.
right. I mean, and even it's just you just prime apart.
Hmm.
I mean, it's so simple. No pins, no screws, no rivets,
If you
no
feel like
nothing.
priming it, you could just be like me. Just paint on the fucking raw plastic. But I'm not
Well,
doing
I
it for
mean, like
commissions. I'm
prying
doing
them
it for
apart just
me.
to bust them back down. They're so much easier. It's so much more fun, and you have more freedom with them. You can do custom scribing, custom plates. I mean, it's just so much easier to do and less headache.
Yeah.
and people are willing to pay more, which is crazy,
Which is weird. But I guess
right?
it's cheaper investment. They didn't buy $140,
Also
$250
true.
transformer to then
Yeah.
sink another $200 and $300 into for a custom
Hmm.
paint job. You know, when they're starting with like a $40 fucking MG or, you know, $60
Right.
MG kit, and you know, it's also a much easier place to start from, you know, because you
Hmm.
don't have to take anything off. You know,
Exactly.
you don't have to work with pre-painted parts. You're already good with raw plastic the whole way.
Yeah, and you're not going off your pictures that you've taken to reverse engineer how to put this thing back together.
Yeah.
You have a book that tells you exactly what the fuck to do. It's so easy.
I can just imagine the stress that you go through with, taking apart all these transformers and having to put them all back together again. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
but I
the
mean,
first one's
the
always the
initial
hardest.
take apart of just, God, I hope, this part doesn't break when I take this pin out or something like that, right? It's just, I can only
Yeah,
imagine and be like, oh, the stress of it all.
yeah. And so let's take okay, Fans Toys Lupus.
Okay.
And they're Weird Wolf. That thing goes for what, 400, 450 right now on the aftermarket?
Even though people hate that thing.
Right. But you can't
Oh, I
go
like
to the
mine.
store and buy one. So
No.
if I break this thing, I'm fucked. Like I make absolutely zero money. I'm in the hole now, and I have to get lucky enough to find one that I can buy. So it's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
Oh, you know what? I've never bothered to follow up with you on the Providence that you bought from me.
It's still in the box.
Okay, so you still haven't gotten to it. Okay, good.
No,
Because I want to
I've
see
got,
what you're gonna do with it.
yeah, it's gonna be down the list.
Yeah, because even Eric thought he was gonna buy it from me to have a redo because he really hated it, the one that he made previously.
Mm.
But I'm like, no. It's like Sean's got dibs.
Yeah, that one's. I can make that cool.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, it's a pain in the ass though. I'll tell you that right now. That thing is a bitch compared to its brothers, uh,
Oof.
with the justice and the freedom. You know.
Yeah,
Though I'm surprised you haven't got any commissions for Legends scale figures yet.
I'm pretty sure I've had an email about something. I just can't remember what it was.
Because that would be
But I don't think
hilarious.
they like my price because they never answered back.
Oh, it could be. But that would be. I mean, like I just looking. So I've got all the Constructicons here from New Age in front of me, and I'm just looking at this and I was like, I don't even have any other than like the pin work. I was like, I don't have a fucking clue how to take this bitch apart. You know, there's not. I mean, a few places there's obvious screws, but everything else is fucking pins, and that's
Hmm.
beyond me. You know,
Wow.
mostly because I don't have the tools to remove said things. But you know, like small
Right.
screws and stuff I can work with, but I would say like if anybody has like a lot of the Magic Square ones before they really actually started painting, those would be worth actually giving a decent paint job too. So you don't looking at that fucking shit ass plastic those things originally come in.
Yeah, and that screwy plastic that's on them, it's
Hmm.
really it doesn't like to be painted.
No,
I have
it's
messed with some, and
ABS.
I've tried to.
Yeah.
I have some stuff that will stick to it,
Hmm.
but it's hard. You're just rolling the dice. I mean, sometimes you can get it to work. Sometimes it's like nope, because
Or
it bends too much. It breaks the bond so easy.
yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
it'll
Even if you flex the paint in the sealer, it can still break it because it's so thin. It's a pain in the ass.
yeah, even with the lacquer paints that I use, generally speaking, for model building, even those things won't want to stick to because it's that weird ABS. It's not like normal ABS. It's a strange formulation that wasn't meant to
Yeah,
be
it's
painted.
weird.
You know, they wanted flexibility in it so that you know you when you have to move parts in certain ways. You know, but
Right.
like say which one was it? You remember my Ultra Magnus repaint of the Flame Toys Prime?
Yes.
Okay, so do you remember what I told you what happened to that thing when I primed it?
No.
Even the primer started melting the fucking plastic.
Oh yeah, I remember now. I didn't
Wow.
remember.
It started bleeding red through the fucking seams.
Yeah.
Uh and even the final paint job, even after being primed over several times and then painted over several times, it's still bleeding red through in a couple spots.
Mhm.
Dang.
Because it just started leaching that fucking plastic. Um,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know this. And I think Bobby might have talked about it, but I know I've definitely heard about it from TJ Omega. You know the Bloosh parts from Hasbro? You know,
Yeah.
Okay.
right?
Do you know that you cannot leave these things installed in any of the figures? Because
Why not?
it will
No.
fucking break down the plastic.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. So whatever this weird soft plasticky resin shit is, whatever its chemical makeup is, will
Yeah.
actually start melting down and leaching the fucking plastic if you leave them in the figures.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Which
Can't
actually
wait to
might
get some of those.
it might be why most of the time people use them on the little tiny pegs, not stuck in on like the weapons and stuff. But there was somebody, I think it was actually TJ Omega showed it off not long ago. Thank God he finally fucking really got his act back together. I really enjoy watching him on YouTube. I think he said he had left a couple older blue effect parts in a specific figure, and it started. He went back to it later to get it for a whatever a plastic addict review or something like that, and it had fucking eaten away at the peg hole that it was in. So whatever, maybe it's just like there's a chemical in there, like because it always feels slippery, like no matter what you
Uh huh.
do. I think
like
Kind of
that's
like a polycat.
huh in a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, except polycaps aren't glossy. But I think that's whatever makes these glossy. I think is what does it. So
interesting.
something in there about that. So and the fact that I determined this week, I think it was this week, that it will work in the train bots like big ass cannon that they come with.
Oh wow.
I shared that picture in the realm. So it will actually, you can actually plug it into the train bots if you want a bloosh effect for their giant ass cannons. So
Wheat.
that's pretty cool. I mean, just don't leave it there because it'll probably destroy it. All right, should we move on to Mike? Talk about your week, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. Um, yeah, it's been a pretty good week. Yeah, like the aforementioned website that I finished for that lady. Thank God. Oh my God, that was just a pain, just such a pain.
Feel free to vent.
Oh, yeah, like everything. See, what I do with clients is along the way, as I'm designing, I'll send screenshots, just to make sure everything is in its place. The colors are right, blah, 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 right? For the client to go over because, I do things 50% down and then the other 50 upon completion, no matter how many revisions it takes to do it, because that's kind of my whole shtick, right? Because whereas most graphic designers will charge extra, say after 4 or 5 revisions, for example, I don't charge for extra revisions, and that appeals to a lot of people because they don't want to spend extra money, right? So, yeah, after everything was done, it's like, you know what? I want you to change the background on this to that, and yeah, I want you to add this text and that text and blah, 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 blah. And essentially, a whole website that was what I thought was completely finished was just changed around entirely. So, anyway, the long and the gist of it is basically I am happy that that is all done. And she wants to add more products later on, which means I get to charge her extra. So I'm happy about that.
Yee.
On top of that, yeah, she referred her friend to me, so that's good. So that means hopefully, probably by tomorrow, that means extra business and another contract to get signed. Um, yeah, I got one guy that sent me a bunch of paperwork that he happened to come across because he was so happy with the scale charts that I did, the Transformer scale charts that I did, that he had some old paperwork and he was wondering if I can do GoBots. So,
Oh God, is there even
yeah,
remotely a scale chart for GoBots?
you know what? There's actually, yeah, a few production scale charts for GoBots.
By the way, we'll link Mike's store below
Oh yeah, sure.
and mine just for the fuck of it.
And you know what? I thought, oh God, GoBots, really? But you know what? The weird thing is, I mean, they did come out first. I'll give them that. It is kind of a part of, transforming robot history. And as much as they suck, You know what? Why not? If you can cover little niches here and there, you're always going to have a few customers along the way.
What
So
there was a
so
what
I think it just might.
wasn't there a generation though where the GoBots actually became included, like they were an offshoot or a different universe?
Well, yeah, because Hasbro ended up buying Tonka, and Tonka owned GoBots like way back when, and so when Hasbro bought them, they were absorbed basically into, I suppose you could say the Hasbro verse, right?
Yeah,
So, uh,
I think it was in the
in a
comics.
weird sort of way, some of the figures that were owned by Tonka made their way into Transformer lore, like they were from like an alternate universe of some sort,
Like Bug Bite is technically
Yeah,
a GoBot.
yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, it's not
So,
actually a Bumblebee clone, so to speak. He's actually from the GoBots universe.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So, a renegade or something like that.
something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, so there's that. What else? Um, I got from Keith from X Transbots. I got Jansen. So basically, their version of their Perceptor,
Oh, that's right.
and
Yeah, you did.
yeah, it's you know what? I really can't put this down. I mean, I was almost gonna get Tesla 2.0 because I had the first version, and you know what? This actually, I like this. The color's good. I remember last year actually him asking me, hey, can you do some Pantone color match for the tune? And he wanted also a metallic red, he that he might have played around with. But no, I think it nailed the colors. They look great. They look awesome. Um, yeah,
Even though I don't own these things, but I've seen different reviews of either the X Transbots or the Fans Toys, or I think Deluxe did a versus on it the other day, and he was posting side by side pictures, and I was like, I think the X Transbot looks better, like color wise and paint wise, which seems impossible, like comparatively to Fans Toys. It's just like somebody
I
outdid
mean,
Fans Toys.
yeah, I think because Bobby did a review that came out yesterday, and
Oh, that's right, he
X
did.
Transbots actually won. So,
Spoilers. I didn't watch that.
oh, sorry. I thought you might have
Well,
probably have
normally
caught that.
on Saturday mornings I watch Chris McFeely and then I'll watch Bobby, but I got into watching a different podcast and then I was editing
Really?
and shooting.
Yeah,
So
see, I usually do that too with Chris McFeely. So,
that's funny. Sean, do you ever watch anything from Chris McFeely?
I have no clue who that is.
Oh,
he does the basics on
Transformers.
whatever particular transformer at the time.
Yeah. So, and then what was it? January was Obscure Characters Month, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Especially what he ended on Rack and Ruin, which was interesting of its in and of itself.
Oh God, that's a completely useless character. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But
Yeah.
I liked it. I like that series. I've watched Chris for shit probably 10 years now. I think I
Really?
started watching him around about the same time I started watching Optobotomus
Oh wow.
way back when.
Huh.
And Bobby actually did a couple history of type things, and I guess it was a lot of work, so he didn't continue doing it.
Huh.
And I used to also watch Rodimus Primal because he would do what are his called? Not history ofs, not Spotlight, but something like that. He does the same kind of thing, and he's okay. Um, I don't like him as much as Chris. I think it's Chris's Irishness.
I don't know. It adds a certain type of, to me at least, a certain type of hmm knowledgeable feel.
Yeah, British always sound smarter. Is that it?
Yeah,
The
they
accent.
do.
The accent. Now, if you're Scottish, it wouldn't.
Oh yeah, I can just
Well,
imagine that.
well, that's like
That's right.
watching.
And today we're going to be looking at the history of Beachcomber. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's just get that drawl in there from Scotland. So
yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I
I
think I
mean,
like.
that's right. He's like a teeny little bot that just goes around the beaches and stuff like that all the time.
Is that why people like Ben's collectibles more, just because of the accent?
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could be.
good old Ben. I'm glad to see
It's,
he's doing a lot better.
he is too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and by the way, happy belated birthday. It was just his birthday yesterday, day before.
I believe it was, yes.
Yep,
So he's doing pretty good.
yep.
So
He said he
health
lost.
wise as well. So right
Yep,
on him.
his health is better. He's lost weight.
Yep.
You know, he's upright, which he used to not be, which is
He's
a good
looking
thing.
good.
Yep, he's looking real good. So, happy birthday, Ben.
Let's see. What else? Yeah, so I got Jansen, so I do like him.
Mhm.
Let's see. As for shows, lately the wife and I have been binge watching Third Rock from the Sun all over again.
Ooh, nice,
Yeah, it's such a funny show.
dude.
Yeah,
That
we got the what was it? The Roku I believe a little over a week ago. So, we just kind of cut out cable because really not a lot of good stuff on anymore. So, for us up here in Canada, especially with, like Shaw and Bell and whatnot, which is our cable companies and whatnot. Yeah, paying close to $100 a month for a whole crap load of channels that really doesn't have much good stuff on anyway, cut it. So got me a Roku unit and checking out a bunch of shows and a bunch of channels. So I got my Discovery Plus and signed up my Netflix again on that and a couple of other things here and there. So I'm quite happy with that. Finished off Book of Boba Fett and just recently today watched the latest episode of Peacemaker. So
Oh, nice. Okay, so we're all caught up on Peacemaker then. So if we have
seems
time,
like,
we could probably throw in a little discussion about that too.
yeah,
Because I previously did a review of the first like 5 episodes of Boba Fett, and it wasn't a glaring review. Like that was up until the point where Mando came back. So
yeah.
you know, that was a thing. I was gonna ask you something, and I fucking forgot what it was. Oh, because I was looking at doing the Roku or something similar,
Right.
and the cost of it with the quote unquote service uh
Yeah.
seemed to be pretty much on par with everything else I was already paying for, because you're still going to have to pay for side services and stuff like that as well. It's just access is
Exactly.
really what you're paying for. So I was like, this is pretty much going to pay for that. Now we don't have cable proper anymore. We pretty much just have internet.
Right.
Um, so we're already streaming virtually everything, but we don't have Roku specifically. We just use through our smart TV. So, but Roku's good for people who just don't have that particular thing. Do
Yeah,
you?
see, because we don't have like, a smart TV, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the TV that we got upstairs, I mean, we got two, but
Ooh,
the
two
one
TVs.
downstairs in my office where I'm at, I just have this old 7-year-old Philips smart box that basically has like YouTube and Netflix on it, and I can plug in a backup drive that has a bunch of movies and shows on it, right? Which is
Mhm.
good enough for down here.
Yeah.
And and the TV upstairs, which is not a smart TV, it's like, okay, well, get a $40 Roku unit, plug it in, and away we go, right? So
Yeah.
not
Uh,
too shabby.
How do you tend to watch things, Sean? Do you still have cable out there?
No, it's all streaming stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering that because I know you're kind of middle of fucking nowhere. There's a whole lot of middle of nowhere in Texas. So,
It's almost like out here then.
yeah.
It's
Unless you're on the
true,
main
man. You're in
highway,
the
and
middle
then
of
that's it.
nowhere and 30 miles away from any town.
There you go.
I remember growing up, my nieces and nephews, because they live, I think roughly 2 hours from you, give or take. And they're so far in the middle of nowhere, they had to go with satellite internet. They didn't have a choice.
Oh
Like,
wow.
they could not run
Yeah.
cable to where they were.
Yeah, that's like a few places out here in Alberta too. So, where you're way out in the country, like probably a good 20, 30, 40 kilometers from like the nearest town. And yeah, you got to get satellite everything.
Ugh, I couldn't even. I remember trying to look at something on the internet at their house, and it was so goddamn slow. Like even compared to dial-up, it was so fucking slow.
So I have to install some of these units. Oh my God. Yeah. Big microwave dishes. Oh Lord. What a
Oh yeah.
pain in the ass.
Yeah, at least
Not
in
fun.
the digital age, things are coming better. Like I think technically here where we're at, we're a big enough city now that we have fiber in a lot of places. So, if you feel like paying for it, you can have like instant fucking internet. Like, to where
It's
you're
a lovely thing.
yeah. I mean like having I think when I get a new computer that's a little bit better off, it'll probably be able to use the internet a little faster than this one currently can because I don't think it can process as quick as shit comes in. I mean, this computer is 6 years old now, which makes it ancient. uh, so hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to buy a proper PC and actually be able to do a lot more stuff instead of having to rely entirely on a laptop for everything.
Yeah.
If China decides to let us have computers again.
Yeah.
Let us bow to our Chinese overlords.
Well, actually, you do up there in Canada.
Please, sir, give me another computer. No, I don't
Let
think
it
so.
let us have new vehicles.
Yeah, exactly
I,
right.
f- I feel so fucking bad for the new vehicle market.
Oh
Like,
God.
I just drive past empty fucking dealerships that they've got everything spread out. There's like 4 spaces between every car just to make the parking lot look like it has something in it.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
God, that's sad.
Yeah, especially for everybody who was waiting on like brand new, like 2021, there was like no new fucking vehicles. Like a
No.
handful. Like things that were made essentially here in the States that they could get computers for. Like I see a lot more Broncos on the road now than I see Jeeps because I guess they
Yeah,
just yeah.
I think in what was it in somewhere's in Ontario, one of the car manufacturers, I think it might have been GM, just shut down, and of course, they got a place to blame somewheres. And not that I want to get whole political on this, but they blame it on the truckers. So it's
Yeah.
like, no, it's basically your decision to cut production. So you really can't blame this on anyone else, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's what you mean to.
moving
So
production back to a foreign country that has complete dominance on that area, uh, w-
exactly.
when instead you could have kept it in-house,
Yeah.
so you didn't have that problem. Much like most medications or PPE, not just computer chips, not just
Precisely.
toys, not just
Precisely.
electronics. Yeah, it was a really poor decision of at least our uh, former vice president to undo what had previously been done. That kind of shit. We're not going to get too far into that. We don't need to roll down the political landscape. But if you don't have anything else, Mike, I'm going to go take a piss and then I'll start on my week.
Do, 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 do,
This
do,
is what
do,
happens when I
do,
drink a
do.
beer. You know.
I'm almost that way with the coffee. So
Well, that's why I had. Oh, I need to.
you you
Hold on.
do not have to feel left out, my friend.
No, I have to
So
mute though, so that I'm
Oh,
not getting
so
a lot of feedback. Everyone, take a piss break.
that's right.
okay,
I
I'm
got
gonna
some
go. I'm gonna go.
water.
I'll be back.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Wait.
I'm back.
Open
All
another.
right.
Open
I
another
went
beer.
PP.
Everybody peed up good.
Heat up
Yeah.
good.
Empty bladders abound.
Hooray.
All right.
Freedom.
Yes. Freedom. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. And now we made it
Well
awkward.
said.
And now I made it awkward. All right. So, well, for my week, if we're going back to just last Sunday, we've watched a lot of shit on Netflix. The wife has been getting into documentaries and weird foreign TV shows, surprisingly. So she started watching this show about witches that was Spanish, like proper from Spain.
Right.
And it was set in modern day. It was like a witch that was cast through time into modern day and was like making friends and dealing with all that kind of nonsense. So She watched all that in like a week and a half, and it was like 4 fucking seasons.
Damn.
Then followed that up with a have you guys ever heard of or seen the show Bombshell Girls or Bomb Girls? I think is what it's called.
I've heard of it. I just don't know what it is.
Okay, so it was a series on either Hulu. I think it was on Hulu, and it followed uh, women who were working in the factories during World War II, I believe it was. Um,
Oh
and
yeah, okay.
and so it
Now
was
this sounds familiar.
yeah, so it was called Bomb Girls because they're the ones who were literally building the fucking bombs that were
Right.
going on the planes. So that was from a few years ago. So this one was called uh, what exactly was it called? Not Call Girls. So basically, it's a oh, I'm getting a lot of echo all of a sudden. Is that you, Sean? I might have to.
Probably.
Maybe. I'll just back off from the mic a little bit. So anyway, so this new show was following a group of women who worked a call center or uh what do they used to call those? The like the phone exchange, where they would connect and then they'd pull the wire and
Operators?
connect. Huh?
Operators?
Yeah, so basically like phone operators. Maybe it's called Operator Girls, something like that.
Huh.
And it was another foreign show, but it was set in oh, that was set in Spain too, now that I think about it. That was weird. So that was actually so she's into all these weird Spanish shows, which is strange. And that one covered also that covered the I think the Spanish Civil War.
Oh wow.
And so it started out with just the invention of like not auto dialer, but it was like the machine that could connect it automatically to eliminate, and it eliminated their jobs. And they all worked specifically for this company that did this. And so they all went out of work. Now I didn't watch all of that, but I saw a few episodes with her, but she was like utterly enthralled. But the show was fucking nonsense. Like it got into ridiculous like political intrigue. Eventually, it started out as just women going through life and their bullshit with their husbands and losing their jobs and trying to figure out how to function in this world to literally one of them turning into like a political refugee and trying to break her friends out of the prison by distracting the president and shit. Like it was fucking absurd. Um, and as spoilers for this show, I doubt any of us are going to see this, but they all die in the end because
Oh,
it's
Thank God.
because it's a fucking war. Um, but like at one point, they had locked up like the women and children of the political dissidents, and
yeah.
lo and behold, the mother-in-law of the main character, who fucking hates her guts and wants her fucking dead, is the warden of this particular prison.
Oh wow.
And so you can tell that's just gonna go in horrible, horrible fucking directions.
Boy, didn't see that
Didn't
coming.
see that one coming. Yeah. So she was watching that, but then she watched a movie slash documentary on it's called I think Anne Frank was my best friend, something like
Oh yeah,
that.
I think I might have heard of that one.
It was surprisingly good. It's better if you watch it in the original Dutch instead of in the with the voiceover. So she doesn't like reading subs that much,
Right.
but she got used to it. So I told her, I was like, no, turn off the fucking English bullshit and watch this as in its original thing. So they're either speaking Dutch or German, just depending.
Right.
Because it takes place mostly in Amsterdam initially and then moves on through it. And it does follow both the modern thing once they're in the camps and then flashbacks to before they were all arrested and before Anne and her family went away into seclusion.
Interesting.
It was actually like even the little bits of it that I watched were pretty fucking intense and like emotional.
Right.
So it was actually pretty good. So I definitely recommend it. It's all on Netflix, by the way. So if you have Netflix, just look it up. It is worth watching in the original languages though, because it means more. Because when the lip flaps are always fucking weird to watch. It's like the old Godzilla effect.
Yeah, exactly. I can't watch shows that way.
Well, it's like Squid Game. A lot of people watch Squid Game in English. I was like, what the fuck? No, watch it in Korean. It's so much better.
Exactly. I have to,
Yeah. But those were really good shows. What else did we watch? Oh, we just started watching Making a Murderer season 2. At least what we thought was season 2. It turned out we were watching season 1 from the beginning again, but it was all shit that apparently we never saw somehow.
Oh, that's
It
odd.
yeah. So like we obviously knew everything. If you guys are familiar with it, I mean, I think it was like one of the biggest fucking shows on TV period in like 2015 to like 2017.
Hmm.
Um, like we knew everything about the murder case and everything that went there because that's the whole back half of that series. But apparently, we somehow never watched the front half, or we just couldn't remember it, where it was the rape case that sent him to prison originally. And we're watching it and I was like, wait, why are they talking about old stuff? This is weird. Is like, and they're not talking about anything new. And then we stopped and we realized we were watching old stuff. We weren't even into part 2.
Oh, weird.
But the other thing is, I think at some point I had to reset Netflix. So it's possible we watched the first few episodes on our old Netflix, and then once we got restarted Netflix, we picked up where we left off because the history shows that we only watched 4 episodes out of the 10. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure we watched fucking 10 episodes of that shit because that was one of those ones where it's like, okay, we have to watch one more. It's like nearly 11 o'clock at night. You got to go to fucking bed, but you're so intrigued you want to fucking watch the next thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But we did start the second season, which picks up uh close, like apparently I forgot how far back that conviction was. So he's been in prison since him and his nephew have been in prison since '05. So and this documentary is taking place, the new one is taking place in 2015 and 2016 after the original documentary came out. So it drew so much attention to his case that he ended up finding a new lawyer whose only real job has been getting people who are falsely in prison out of fucking prison. And she's like redoing the forensics. She's bringing in new science. She's like recreating the evidence. Like, how the fuck could this evidence even exist? So she's got like blood splatter experts out there, and they are trying to recreate the fucking murder scene. Like, the evidence they used against him was blood in the vehicle. So they've got new blood splatter experts to say, like, is there any way the blood could have gotten to these particular locations? So they're doing everything like Mythbuster style, you know?
Right.
So they've got either a guy who's roughly the same build as Stephen Avery. They put actual blood on his hands where they said where he had the open wound and he had been bleeding from, and then had him go through all the motions that would have made sense in driving the car, loading a body up, and stuff like that. And they could not replicate the blood pattern. Like, there's no way you could have got blood doing there, but you also would have got blood in so many other places. Like, you guys have cut your hands before, cut your fingers open, working on anything, right? When you've got a real fucking deep cut and it is actively bleeding, you're getting blood everywhere, especially if you're not holding it, you don't have a bandage, right?
That's true.
Oh
So
yeah.
so if you're going to get in a vehicle, including picking up the keys, starting the car, putting your hands on the steering wheel, putting the bitch in gear to drive it, you're going to get blood everywhere.
Yeah, that's a given.
And so they've showed that and so far we're only like not even 3 episodes into the new season, and this is what they've already fucking started doing. I was like, okay. And then they started trying to figure out how the blood splatter happened in the back of the vehicle where the body was loaded up. So the body of the person who was murdered was supposedly just forcibly thrown in the back, and that's how blood splatter got on the door. It was an old Toyota RAV4, little crossover SUV thing. And even looking at it, even before they started replicating anything, the blood splatter experts like, there's no way those drops happened the way they said they are, because those drops are straight on, like they're perfectly round except for where they drip. If somebody was flinging a body into the back of the car, it would have had velocity and it would have been streak patterns going sideways. And then they replicate this. They literally get a body, not a real body, but the movable mannequin stand-in, weighted down to the exact weight of the girl who was murdered. They put blood all over her head because they said that They had shot her through the head and they had fucking slit her throat. So, but once again, they're using real blood. She actually said, we bought a whole bunch of fucking vials of blood from a lab, that was clean. So they're using real blood, not simulated blood. And they tried every which way to get blood on this door the way that they claimed in the story. And they couldn't. So they decided, okay, how do we actually replicate that pattern? And what they showed was you would have had to have had a hammer or some type of blunt object and smacking the person on the head, and the movement of the hammer would have slung blood that way. So everything that this new lawyer is doing is breaking down all of the old evidence they used to put them in jail. Because the only real evidence they had was his blood in weird places that they couldn't determine how it happened in the story of the nephew.
Ah,
That's it. That's all the evidence they used. That's and the fact.
you know what they need?
Hmm.
You know what they needed then?
What?
They needed Horatio from Miami CSI.
Yes, that would have been good. Well, I mean, she's pretty fucking good, but here's the thing. These are not detectives doing this. This is a lawyer and her group and whatever forensic experts that she hires. These are
This is what I don't get with some of these shows, right?
Yeah.
You know, like since when are lawyers and whatnot? Like, God, this even goes back to like, I don't know, let's say Matlock or something like that. Since when are lawyers freaking forensic scientists? Like, come on.
But she's not. She's just digging through the evidence and then having the actual scientist, figure it out. But but what she's proving is that not only did their lawyers before not do their due diligence, but also proving that the cops in and of themselves never bothered to investigate properly.
You better be being paid damn well to be doing all this extra work.
Well, she's actually...
That's all I can say.
Well, here's the thing. She's pro bono.
Oh.
But she's had 17 victories in getting people who were imprisoned falsely. So she's good at her fucking job.
I'd say.
And we're talking murder cases, not other kind of bullshit. Murderers.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you watch the show, spoilers, she talks about one of the first big cases that she did, and she got the guy out of prison. Except the thing is, he actually did the crime. And he confessed to her, and she said, okay, but after you're dead, I'm telling everyone the truth, because he was dying already. That she got him out of jail, but he had cancer or something, so he was already dying. And he agreed to it. He's like, look, once I'm dead, you can tell everyone the truth. I'm sorry I put you through this, but you did do your job. So she fucking told everybody. He's like, look, I got this guy out of prison, and I found out the truth that he truly was a murderer. So from now on, I was like, I'm going to vet everyone thoroughly before I fucking go through this nonsense again. And then since then, she's gotten like 15 other fucking people off. So we'll see. Because, some people are really good liars, but other people, I don't know. So far, it's pretty intriguing, mostly because of the science and the fact that they are exploring the evidence in a way that nobody ever did. Including they brought out, tracking dogs to they were looking for the body, right? So they had her vehicle, they had her, things, you know how they do. They fucking let the German Shepherds or whatever dog sniff the thing and then go find it. The dogs did not explore the property owned by the Averys. The dogs immediately went to the quarry next door. Walked the entire quarry, spent a lot of time around the office of that quarry, and then eventually worked their way to where the vehicle was parked. But was nowhere did the dogs actually track into the property where she was supposedly murdered. Only to where her body was left.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fucking intrigue, and I'm like, okay, I thought this was going to be a load of bullshit, and I'm just going to also make the assumption that he still is in prison because something didn't work out. But if they legitimately found all this real fucking evidence, then somebody was not doing their job properly at all. And, he had already gotten out of jail proving that the cops didn't do their job the first time around that he went to prison. and he was suing them. And while in the middle of suing them for that kind of shit is when he got nailed for murder. You know, and they're showing the new lawyers for his nephew, where they took advantage of him. They fed him. They fed him the evidence that he needed to talk about in his confession. So like, did nobody ever bring up the fact that throughout the fucking confession video, while they're interrogating this kid, they're giving him the info before he can, talks about it. They literally said, "Is like, did you help him load her in the car?" You know, so you have to interrogate somebody not with the evidence but you have to get them to admit evidence you don't know or that can
Exactly.
confirm. Instead, they get every single thing he confessed to, they fed him before he confessed to it. And there's video evidence, and they're showing the video evidence of it. It's just like, what the fuck? So that's been pretty intriguing. So we started watching that yesterday. Obviously, Book of Boba Fett and Peacemaker. Obviously, that's not a big deal. We're gonna talk about Boba Fett and Peacemaker here in a minute. But let's see what else. I ordered some more stuff from BBTS this week. Um, I have a robot dog coming from some company I
Ooh.
haven't heard of. It looks like a little English bulldog kind of.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's painted like an old school, like a Shelby Cobra almost.
Huh.
So it looks pretty cool. That should be here pretty soon. What was the other thing I had got in? So I've been doing the Bandai's Super Mini Pla stuff from Gal Ranger, or better known as Wild Force. So the newest one of those came in, so that's on its way. And I knew February was going to be another big month for pre-orders coming in because everything that was like booked for like October, got pushed by another 4 months.
Of course.
I got in the because I'm still collecting the Power Rangers Lightning Collection, so I got in the Pink Ranger from In Space. I had also gotten in the last set of Constructicons. Oh, that's the other thing I did. I bought the actual Devastator part, so I'll be able to do the Devastator review proper.
Sweet.
Um, so that's good. I started on my train bots. Started reviewing those yesterday. I've been lazy. I've just been playing with the motherfuckers. It's like sometimes I just don't want to actually review stuff. I just want to play with the stuff and just not
Well,
have to.
exactly. Playtime is more fun.
But that's why I do my members only videos where it's the first time out of the box kind of situation where I actually play with everything, try to figure out how to transform it.
Oh yeah.
But I also need to get around to building again, so that's the other reason I need to finish these fucking all these reviews. I've got Power Rangers slash Ninja Turtle stuff piled up, so I need to review that. And that's the crossover comic, so I've got the figures from the crossover comic.
Nice.
I actually, speaking of Power Rangers comics, I got the latest two Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers comics, along with Power Rangers Universe. So I was actually talking to comic books with Sean the other day because of the new Zords, because they finally did the thing. Spoilers for the new comics. A few months ago, because this is the first time in history that there's actually a separate Green Ranger and White Ranger existing at the same time in the Mighty Morphin timeline.
Oh.
And it's not Tommy. So the White Ranger is Tommy. The new Green Ranger is a new character. And it's
Oh,
a
that's
and it's a
different.
revamped Green Ranger. Not so they've tweaked his powers, they've customized the Dragon Zord a little bit, and they're working. It's actually not teamed up with Zordon, but actually with a whole separate organization called Promethea. Uh,
Ah.
so when they first came together, nobody knew who the Green Ranger was. You had the whole shebang, like several issues where they're trying to figure out who he is. They do eventually. He reveals himself on camera to everybody because they needed the trust of everyone. At that point, Lord Zed had taken over all of Angel Grove and like cut off half of it under a dome. So some of the Rangers were trapped inside, some of the Rangers were trapped outside. It was a whole fucking mess. But after they got out of that dome and they were fighting against Zed's, I forget what he called them, but he made his own set of Rangers out of like Goldar, Squat, Babu, and somebody, those people.
Yeah.
And I think even Finster. I think they even made one out of Finster. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was a Rita clone. So it was a Rita clone because Rita's currently gone. And then they had quote unquote Zords, so they needed to beat them. And the Dragon Zord and the Tiger Zord were the only two available at the time. And they said, okay, we should combine them. And so they teased it then, but something happened. They got cut off, so they never got to combine at that point. So in the latest issue, they finally fucking combined the Tiger Zord and the Dragon Zord for the first time. And it's pretty fucking glorious.
Yeah, it's badass.
Yeah, I showed it out here. I'll post it in the chat here.
Here's the thing, man. I think a lot of people are sleeping on these new Power Ranger comics because they just hear the name Power Rangers and they have an established ideal in their head. They're pretty good. I checked some out online, and the story is way better than what you would think it'd be, and I think it could be a really new niche for people to get into if they just get past what they think Power Rangers is in their head.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, as someone who's been following the comics for a while, even retroactively buying older issues, when it was Power Rangers, I think was it just Power Rangers? Yeah. So it was Power Rangers, and then it was Go Go Power Rangers. There were two separate comics. One was one picked up from the moment that they beat Tommy and brought him into the fold, and then the other was actually pre Tommy and when they first got their powers. So like they were just new to everything, you know, it followed it more like a high school drama.
Uh-huh.
And even though both were being made by the Boom Studios, or Boom whatever, Boom Comics, whatever, the art style was different between the two. And then when they got to uh when Lord Draken showed up, which is the evil alternate version of Tommy, from another universe, when he showed up, that's when the universes crossed over. So we ended up having a crossover between Go Go and Mighty Morphin because of I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but certain characters were killed, which made things awkward, and then they were brought into the world of the Coinless, where Draken had taken over, uh, and like he stole most of the power coins, created armies of Power Rangers or Sentinels as he called them, and had taken over. It was pretty fucking crazy. So after the Shattered Grid storyline, which broke every Power Ranger part of the timeline into its own separate universe, um,
Right.
then everything sort of got reset, and both universes sort of fused together in a way. So I haven't read all of that. So I was reading Beyond the Grid was where I left off. So that was after they beat Draken and the world kind of got reset. But then some of the Power Rangers were left outside of the regular universe. So they were in like a weird bubble universe.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
and because they weren't directly connected to the Morphin Grid properly, things got a little weird. Like Jason and Trini's powers got switched. So Jason was the Yellow Ranger and Trini was the Red Ranger, and then they were alone on a planet together trying to fight for survival with their powers getting weaker, and then they ended up hooking up and stuff like that. Um, and then some of the other Rangers, like from different universes, ended up in this weird bubble universe where they weren't connected to their powers at all, but they ran into another Power Ranger that they'd never seen before. And they ended up becoming the Solar Rangers. So they had a wholly different connection to powers. And that's where I kind of left off, is whenever that started. So that was in Beyond the Grid. And then after that was Necessary Evil, which is where Draken comes back. The Omega Rangers start. So if you guys remember way back when Jason, Zach, and Trini left to go off to the World Peace Conference or whatever, and then they left the show, the comics
Right.
actually give a proper story as to where they actually went. That was their cover, but they actually were going off to join the Omega Rangers, which was out in space. So they joined the Blue Omega Ranger out in space. And so they've been tracking down all kinds of other crazy shit that's going on. And then at this point, it split off into two new comics. So now we have Mighty Morphin, and then we also have Power Rangers. So Mighty Morphin follows the Earth Rangers, Power Rangers follows the Omega Rangers. And in between, they've been dealing with the same problem. So, like, Lord Draken was imprisoned in the command center, and then because they needed him for information, the Omega Rangers actually break him out of prison and end up pissing off Zordon, and Zordon fucking calls whatever the SPD, literally Zordon calls SPD to fucking arrest his old Rangers that are out there in the universe because they broke out fucking Draken. So it's pretty fucking nuts. And then the Universe comic, which is now another spin-off in a way, seems to be going over the origin of the Power Rangers, period. Like within the universe. Like where their powers came from in the first place. Which is pretty interesting. So that's what I was reading this week, getting caught up on those. Still waiting on the last issue of The Last Ronin to come out. That's the Ninja Turtles comic where it's set in a far future and all of the other turtles are dead, but the last Ronin has come back to get revenge on all his brothers being killed. Which is pretty fucking good, and it's done in that old, like, it's done in the Eastman and Laird style.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's a good series, but it's been on delay. Like, it was only going to be 5 issues, and it's been a while since the last one came out. I do have the hardcover ordered, though, for when everything drops finally. I've been buying a lot more hardcovers with comics lately.
I am.
And then anything else? I don't think anything else other than work being slightly retarded the last week, due to the weather. You know, because you know it gets a little ice somewhere, and things get a little stupid, and then them just making really dumb calls right and left.
Oh, that's right. You guys are getting ice and snow down there.
Well, it's not even down here because we rely on things out of state for a lot of our
That's true.
work, obviously, because we need trucks to come in with stuff and we need planes to come in. So
Yep.
that giant ice storm we had a week ago or so across the fucking nation really screwed stuff up. So like we were like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we were playing fucking catch up for stuff that
Oh
was like
wow.
2 days behind. So we were getting slammed. It was like Christmas all over again. Um, so there's that. But I guess that's pretty much it for my week. Should we go ahead and roll into the Book of Boba Fett?
I think we shall.
Yeah, since we've also been going for nearly 2 hours already.
Oh wow.
Yep. Time flies, don't it?
It does.
So I've already reviewed the thing, so I'll let you guys talk about your thoughts on it on a whole. So Sean, your thoughts on the series as a whole, like what did you think about it?
It's pretty sad when someone with their own show drops in for 2 episodes that makes the best ones that your show had. It wasn't. It just fucking sucked, man. I just say it sucked. There's 2 episodes that were pretty cool. Had some member berries in there. That's a callback. But
Lots of
other than
member
that,
berries.
this dude sucks so bad, man. I've seen puppets act better than this guy. I can't stand half of him. But yeah, I don't look forward to ever seeing any more of him. I'd rather watch The Mandalorian any day of the week.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair, if not slightly mean, assessment. I don't think it's an acting problem. I think it's a directing problem and a production problem, personally. Mike, what are your thoughts?
I thought the whole series was just boring. Just rather boring
Yeah.
and a lot of redundant storytelling that didn't have to be done. Just boring. You know, they might as well just have called it, like a little miniseries, Book of Mandalorian, starring Boba Fett as sidekick. You know,
Well,
kind of,
well,
because when he shows up, he pretty much takes over the whole show, right?
Yeah,
Because that presence after 2 seasons of seeing the Mandalorian, he's the showstopper, right?
pretty much. The world's revolving
Boba
around
Fett,
him.
yeah, Boba Fett. I mean, look, let's put it this way, okay? When we first really run into Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back, okay? First of all, dude hardly said a word, but he has that presence, right? Like, wow, this guy's like a badass,
Is it,
right?
isn't it isn't
So,
it a meme that he says like 6 words in the entire original trilogy?
pretty much, right? Like
Technically
from
two
that
movies.
first
Technically
scene
only
where
two
Vader's like
movies.
right in front of him and he's like, no disintegrations. And he's like, as you wish, right? You knew that there was something about him, the way he said his lines, even though it was like very few,
Hmm.
right? He stood out and you knew he was like this slick badass that, that didn't take crap from anyone, really, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, even originally in his bio, he was like, you know, the the best bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Supposedly.
So, well, yeah, right. Because and sure, even though we've seen, especially in the last episode, episode 7, where you see, a lot of his armory come into play, like, the knee rockets and stuff like that, which was totally a thrill to see, and a nice homage to actually, what it said in his bio, like from back in his toy, like back in the 80s. Everything else about the character was like the total opposite of how we thought of him when we first saw him in the movies, which was, you know, a slick bounty hunter killer.
But it was also it was the intrigue, the mystery behind him is really what basically
Yeah,
the intrigue was all the hype. Like, yes, he was supposed to be the best bounty hunter in the world, but we were told that after the fact, not in the movie, and certainly not necessarily in his actions. But the fact that his character was built after the fact, it was built in stories, it was built in the comics, and then to see a more well, the modern version of Boba, but for him to literally basically be going through a rebirth, in the literal sense, reborn from the Sarlacc, stripped of everything that made him him, and then basically having to rebuild as a prisoner from the ground up. The I think the idea behind the show was great. I think it was the execution that was terrible.
yeah. It was
And I
it
think
was
I think it's Robert Rodriguez. I think that's what did it. Because the episodes that we loved the most weren't directed by him.
exactly.
They were directed either by Dave Filoni directly or Bryce Dallas Howard,
Yep.
who she had one of the better episodes of, actually both of them technically had some of the better episodes of The Mandalorian, either season 1 or season 2.
And yeah, I find that whenever she directs, they're really nice kick-ass episodes.
Generally. But the
Yeah.
only thing that sucked about it is, no, I guess she technically, the armorer was in there. So I was gonna say it's usually when she's directing powerful female characters, because
Yep.
she had the Gina, or she had a more Gina Carano centric episode, and I think she also did the one with Bo-Katan originally, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
I think that's correct, and those were great episodes.
Yep.
And I think, and the thing is that the clunky pacing between the flashbacks at the beginning and the modern day happenings were some of the problem. And I said I think what they should have done initially was just do all of the flashbacks together as the beginning of the series, let that breathe, and then start with him waking up in the Bacta tank after healing a bit, and then needing to go start and introduce himself to the new bullshit. that's
Yeah.
that's the way I
Yeah.
looked at it. Oh, I see what you guys did earlier on the accidental voice chat thing. That's funny. I didn't notice that in the Discord. Um, but like I overall I think the series didn't. I don't think it sucked. I think it was just mediocre. Like it was, and yeah, the Mandalorian episodes, because they weren't done by Robert Rodriguez, were the best.
Yeah,
Not just because his character was more fleshed out and whatnot, but the directing and the acting, well, for the most part, was just better. And I think that there was for some reason they made the Boba series campy,
they
and
did.
that didn't make sense.
No,
Like
it didn't.
in the areas where he actually got to be a badass and he actually got to do action was good. Like the flashback stuff, especially with the Tuscans, was actually not bad. Like
It wasn't, but
in
I
my
didn't think it
opinion,
had to be drawn out for 3 freaking episodes.
I think if it had been condensed to an episode and a half on its own, it
Yeah,
would have been better off. Like I think if we saw him, like if we flashed to him in the tank dreaming but not doing anything else and then went back to the flashback, that would have been something.
yeah,
So we acknowledge that in the future he's remembering this stuff. I think would have been fine, but going back and forth to every time he hops in the back to tank, oh, we're going to flashback time, you
yeah.
know,
No, right. And
and
for 3 episodes, I mean, that's half the series right there. You just wasted potential awesome storytelling
yeah,
for just flashbacks that could have taken, maybe 15 minutes at most, if not 20.
I think where
Personally, I think.
yeah, well, I think where it suffered from was that the flashbacks were the character building and the modern day was world building. They weren't at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did a little bit, introducing the Nikto speeder riders and the or speeder gang, introducing the mods, introducing the Pike Syndicate. So they built the what was happening modern day within the flashbacks, but like they still could have done that chronologically and it would have been okay. But I think
Yeah.
it's just
Those bikers.
I think the other thing, and I think I mentioned this to you, Sean, I don't remember, was that the last episode should have been 2 episodes and given more room to breathe.
Yeah, you
Like,
did.
yeah, so like they could have split that in two, made it 8 episodes, and just given it a little more time, like do the trope of we cut it off where everything has gone wrong for our main characters and we think they're gonna die. And then you start back up with everything turning around, due to whatever circumstance. And and I think that a lot of the way it was shot was a little different, and maybe that was due to Rodriguez. Like the entire speeder bike chase
Oh,
through
God.
through the streets. Well, it's funny.
That was bad.
All of the action on the speeders in the desert was fantastic. With the bike chain, with the bike, or the I'm sorry, the train heist, all of that, training them to ride the fucking speeders, training them to work together, the entire montage of, getting them to work together to take down the train, that was great.
That was fine.
The slow speed fucking hover chase through the streets of Mos Espa was fucking terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It was fucking bad. It was comically bad.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like the
You know what?
quick,
Even my wife said, "What the hell is this?" And I had to agree with her. It's like, this is bad. Like this is like B movie bad. You know?
yeah.
That's how terrible I thought that was.
And I feel like some of it was a limitation of what they were using. Like, I think
Yeah.
their hover scooters are technically like four-wheelers, and
Oh,
they're
God.
they're just removing the wheels.
You might as well just put them on Vespas.
Yeah, well, except Vespas would be harder to ride. They need something that's stable and will lay flat. So you could tell they were always flat. They couldn't bank.
Yeah.
So that's what led me
Yeah.
to that's what led me to believe that they're on four-wheelers that can't bank. But you could
Ugh.
see when they're on the speeder bikes, like normal speeder bikes, they can fucking lean, they can do everything. But on their Vespas, they're riding flat and they're riding slow.
Yeah.
So just something about that. The concept of the mods is fine. It's funny and is a real world correlation to the mod style from the 60s in England. But it's silly. But they're also British, which I thought was really funny. They're space British.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
actually makes
Yeah.
sense. And like the whole concept of the show is not even a foreign one. You know, the badass wants to settle down and make something new, so he comes to a troubled town to set it straight and he wants to take over. You know, and they had the concept great. They really did. Just poor execution. And it's almost like a little bit of the Marvel TV problem rolled into the Star Wars TV problem, you know?
Pretty much. I think the other thing that kind of bugged me the most also is that, like Boba Fett to me, was in his own way a take charge kind of guy, right?
Yes.
He knew what he wanted to do and he did it, right? There was no second guessing, there was no, second thinking. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been, one of the world or the galaxy's one of the galaxy's
Most feared
best
bounty hunters.
feared bounty exactly, right? During this whole entire series, everybody is second guessing him, right? It's just freaking annoying. And he's just kowtowing to it, you know.
But did he?
For example, last episode, right? He's like, oh no, we should just go back to the palace and and make our stand there. Then perky little British, Vespa girl is like, no, I think we should just stay here because blah 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 blah.
I
It's like,
I thought it was Fennec who wanted to go back to the palace.
okay, no,
I had to go to check. I thought it was Fennec because I know Fennec was definitely not keen on a lot of the ideas, obviously. But I thought she
no,
was the one
well,
that
yeah,
suggested
but
it.
her too, right? During the run of the series as well,
Yeah.
right? It's like, people are showing up at the palace.
I
Fennec is like, no, I think you should do this, or I think you need to take my advice. And Boba's like,
shut the fuck up.
okay,
No,
you
he
know.
he he told her no, we're gonna do it my way. Most of the time, he
No, in
never
some spots, yes,
like
but
when she actually had superior either technology or superior knowledge, then he would defer to her. But when it was something he needed to do that he was set for, he just basically told her to shut the fuck up. So like when they stole the Slave One back, which was actually a pretty decent episode until they got to the stupid shit with the droid in the kitchen. Uh, like they had to ruin what was actually a pretty cool raid with some fucking comedy that was unnecessary. Um, Although I did like
yeah,
the idea of the droid being so scared it shut itself off. That was actually like okay.
I
Um,
found it rather funny.
I'm sorry,
I,
not the
I
Slave One, not the Slave One. I'm sorry, the Firestar, or
oh yeah, that's right. You
the
can't say
the the new
slave one
PC the
anymore.
new PC name for it.
Yeah, screw that.
Though it's
It's
technically
slave one.
it's the
It's always
type.
going to be slave one.
I could understand him now not wanting to call it Slave One, but
Ah,
at least actually rename the fucking thing.
you know what? To me,
Also,
it's like a ship. You can't just change the name of a ship or boat or anything like that. To me, these are starships, and God, like, don't change the name. It's already iconic enough.
also, uh, that thing's a pretty powerful fucking ship. It's got some heavy duty fucking cannons on it. It's got missiles. It's got seismic charges. Um, that may have been useful at some point in any of their battles.
Yeah,
You know,
Ag- but
he was
against the Starlack,
so
oh
so.
no.
Let's point out the obvious though. He was generally underprepared for virtually everything he encountered in this series.
Yeah, and that's disturbing.
But then again, he's not used to working with a team. He's not used to being a leader. He's used to working on his own for his own gain. And then living with the Tuscans taught him the value of community, the value of family, and which is also why he didn't just get the fuck off of Tatooine once he had his ship back. You know, he could have literally just left and been gone forever, but now we know that essentially after they were murdered, he just wanted to fucking either get a little bit of revenge somehow, but he also just wanted to make Tatooine a better place, but we never got to see him technically come to that conclusion, just that we saw what should have given him the idea and then him actively doing it. Or maybe it was just when he rescued Fennec that sort of gave him that, now I can have a little, she's stuck with me for a few minutes, now maybe I want to do something extra here, you know. But also we saw him being a badass in The Mandalorian. Like, he came in, he fucking kicked ass on those stormtroopers even without his armor. And then when he got his armor, he came in and really kicked some fucking ass.
Yeah, that's true.
And then once he got back to doing his own series, he had to spend all his time in the back to tank to relive his badassery. I mean, we get it. He was really fucked up from all the, either from the Sarlacc or just exposure to the fucking desert. So it makes sense that he would need to get back to 100%. Plus, the fucking dude is actually 61 years old in real life.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Give the guy some credit. I mean, he might be Maori, he does actually have those skills, but
Yeah,
he's still 61. He can only do so much even with the armor on.
exactly.
But like, I liked the world they were building. It's just,
It has potential.
well, we're going back to Tatooine in the next series, so
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know. It's odd. It's like, um, here's the thing. You because it does flashback to his childhood on a couple of occasions, right?
yes, yes.
So here's my beef with it though. It's like you spend that many years honing your craft, essentially since daddy died, right?
Hmm.
Being the best badass bounty hunter in the galaxy. Well, or, I should say one of the best, right?
Yeah,
And it's alluded that he spends about a year with the Tuscan Raiders.
longer. Lo-
Basically,
no, no,
living
it was
among them.
longer than that because it was 5.5 years from Empire to the Mandalorian.
I suppose. Yeah. So
So
yeah,
so he was either
it would be over that.
so he was either in the Sarlacc for several years, or he was with the Tuscans for several years.
Well, yeah. And I can't exactly see that many years inside the Sarlacc, right? So,
Could have
you know,
been. We don't know how that stormtrooper had to have been in there for longer than him to be more digested. So
well, true.
if that stormtrooper had been there since A New Hope, that would have had what, 3 years extra on top.
Probably. But then again, would you really be unconscious and a beast for that long?
I
You
mean,
know,
yeah, you could. I
I don't
mean,
know.
he might have only woken up because he ran out of air.
Well, that could be too.
Because we
But
know he did. We
even
know he did.
even running out of air, you wouldn't have been
Oh,
down there that
okay.
long.
So let me ask you guys about this. I'll ask specifically Sean, since Mike's been taking up a lot of the mic. Uh, when they went back to the Sarlacc in Slave One, what did you think about that whole fucking scene?
Didn't care.
No, I mean, like, how, like, the idea that, like, sitting there flying, staring down into this fucking hole, like, I'm gonna find my fucking suit. Just,
Yeah, it's man, that show. Anytime that show was interesting to me was when it had somebody else in it.
yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay, so let other than the Mandalorian stuff, what was your favorite part about it? Since we've been talking so negatively.
Hmm. Cad Bane was pretty cool.
Oh,
Just seeing that character in live action was awesome, and I liked his swag. But
or
probably
Great.
my favorite part was Boba riding the Rancor.
yeah, did you think? I didn't think we were going to see that in this series. I thought they were going to hold that for another season or something.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But,
But like I say, anytime the show's interesting is when it's with someone else.
but is it because it's member berries or because it's just anything different to Boba?
I'd say, well, the Rancor, that
That
would be
was
member berries.
Well, that was fun in general because we never got to see a Rancor do much outside of a little bit of the what, Clone Wars or Rebels. Like some
Yeah.
what was it, Moochie or whatever was the little baby Rancor that they
Oh
recovered,
yeah.
which they thought this one was technically. This one doesn't have a
Didn't
name
even know.
though. Oh, I wanted him to name it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I didn't think we were gonna see him riding the fucking thing. And then it's like, also, at what point did he learn to ride it, or did he just fucking
Yeah.
go for it? He said, "I don't have time. We're just fucking gonna hop on this Rancor and go."
Yeah. Smash, smash.
Yeah, so I think there's actually cut stuff. I think they really did cut this down by maybe one or two episodes, and where he told the Rancor keeper that he wanted to learn to ride it, but we never got to see anything along those lines. We never got to see him fucking around with the Rancor. We never got to see him doing a lot of stuff. You know, how badass would it have been, like, if he was literally riding the Rancor into town to check on shit? Like, like fuck a lot of
That'd be
walking,
okay.
because look how often he walked to town. And I get it. He wanted to seem like the everyman, and he also wanted to not seem like he was above the people that he was technically lord over. But like, how fucking cool would it have been, like, to see him? Well, I mean, we would have had to have had a getting thrown off the Rancor a million times fucking montage. Um,
Yeah.
but that would have been interesting a little bit. Also would have given us Danny Trejo more. He was only one fucking episode. Like, how do we
Yeah.
not get more Danny Trejo in this? You know? Um, and honestly, I thought the Rancor was actually a fucking gift horse situation. Like, it was given to him to kill him, and then it didn't go that way at all. So
Hmm.
I was like, even when I did the review, I included a thing, where he uncovers the eyes and it like looks at him. It's like, oh, daddy, you know. I included a Terminator type thing that came up and it said target acquired whenever it first saw Boba. Like, the whole idea is it was a trap to begin with, because the Fets are just like, hey, you can keep that fucking Wookiee that we hired, and we're gonna give you this Rancor. We're getting the fuck out of here. Good luck with the Pikes, asshole. But
Yeah.
it's like, hey, would you like some fucking gun tanks while you're at it? Would you like some anything else that we could have possibly brought to this? Would you like some of our slaves to help you fight this fucking war? No, they just said, here's the two most dangerous things we owe that will probably try to kill you at some point. And neither
Like, you
neither
can't
thing.
tell me that that Rancor hasn't seen one single iota of light since it was like birthed. Like, are you kidding me? It's gonna imprint on the first thing it sees.
No,
The
no.
thing is freaking huge. It's like full grown, and you're telling me it has seen nothing since it was born? Give me a break.
Now, there is one thing. It said the first human it sees.
Yeah,
So, in theory, and maybe it's never seen a person. It may have seen other things, or it may have seen different species that they don't connect to in the same way. There's a lot of weird lore behind
that
the Rancors.
that just seems like lazy writing.
It is, but
Yeah,
but then again, we also don't know. I mean, it's possible. I mean, the thing is, literally in captivity, it's fucking chilling half the fucking time. We know that Jabba's Rancor wasn't blinded, but it had its owner, it had its keeper.
that's right.
Um, So it's in theory that maybe that is how it works. There's not a lot of them out there in the first place. They're not as prevalent as they used to be, and they're only really used as slave creatures, kind of, and not bonded creatures. So, I guess that's also a metaphor for Boba in the first place. Originally used for one purpose, but then changed to be something more. I think they had a lot of meaning that they wanted to impart in this fucking series, and then all the goofy shit just ruined it.
They
Um,
did. It just did not come across well.
yeah, if you really go back and really dig at it, you'll find the
Yeah.
meaning that they were probably trying to instill. But in the moment when you were supposed to feel those feelings, they weren't there. It was just like, even the reveal of him on the Rancor was slightly goofy.
Yeah.
But it was still a badass. The Godzilla moment where you hear the roar and you see the claws come over, and then you just see the back on the top of the buildings. That was actually really fucking cool. But did anyone else have the thought that maybe he was going to go grab some Tuskens to come help them? He said, "I'm going to go get reinforcements," and they dropped a hint that maybe not all the Tuskens were killed.
I don't know. No, I didn't think it was going to be the Tuscans. I, you know, I just had that feeling it wasn't going to be that.
I mean, even the Slave One would have been useful. He literally could have flown in and just shot all the fucking pikes in the street.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like,
Now
still would have
I
been
thought it
fucking
would have been
useful.
something like that.
And, he expressed the idea that he wanted to not destroy the city, but most of that area was already evacuated. It was going to get destroyed to some degree anyways, but I guess he didn't want to be the one to actively destroy it. And they were doing decent until the fucking big ass droids showed up, which
True.
were pretty fucking cool, actually. I'm not going to lie. And
Yeah,
apparently
they felt real Terminator, didn't they?
they did. That was the
It,
idea.
it, it did very much so.
And they were Scorpinek droids, apparently. Uh, which are
Huh.
canon. They've just never been seen on screen. So they were left over from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So the Pikes, of course, would have just picked up something anyways. But they're pretty fucking cool. And the fact that they could, even what they did couldn't kill the fucking Rancor. I was like, the whole time I'm like, oh god, they're gonna fucking kill the Rancor in his first fucking fight. No. And then it just fucking tanked everything except for a little fire blast.
Yeah.
But then again, they might
And a few
actually.
claw marks here and there.
But
So not too
really,
bad.
well, look at it this way: when Cad shot the flames at it, it was scared. It probably had never actually seen fire before in that manner, you know. But then when Mando did it, he fucking literally like bit his fucking arm. He's like, fuck you and your fire." So so it was
Yeah.
it was
Like
actively learning.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
I thought they could have done without the whole King Kong moment.
I didn't. Well, what's really fun? I was fine with it. I
Yeah.
just didn't know what they were gonna do with it. I was like, okay, it's gonna climb up there, and then what? But then actually having Mando fly up to it and try to fucking wrangle it, I was like, okay, he's pretty goddamn ballsy. But I think Bobby said it best. I think the problem is that Mando as a character should have been Boba Fett, and we should have gotten a different Mando that was switched with the Boba Fett character because he is the badass that Boba Fett always should have been. But there's also like a 30-year fucking age difference.
True.
Like I think even in universe, I think there's like a 30-year fucking age difference there. So he's young, he's doing the same job. So Mando is what Boba Fett used to be, except not ruthless in the same manner technically. But he is a badass bounty hunter who's learning a new way. So what's interesting is it might have been different had we started with the Boba Fett series and gone into Mando. Like passing the torch, like, hey, I used to be you, but now I do this.
Yeah.
Family means more to me than the next bounty. Being a trained killer was fine and great, but it didn't get me anything but nearly dead in a fucking sarlacc. You can be more. So, like, I think we sort of got that in the one and a half episodes that they were together. But like, had this series come first and had two series to expand out, and then we get the Mando storyline where it intersects in the same spot, I think that would have been a better way to have executed it. Or actually have had them running concurrently, so the timelines lined up instead of it being flashbacks.
Yeah, exactly. See, that would have been okay with me.
It would have been more interesting, I think. I think it would have
Yeah.
held the interest. It would have built more crossover. So like when we get Ahsoka and when we get some of the other series that are taking place round about the same time, there's gonna be crossover. I mean, we got Luke. We actually got a significantly better Luke in this. Was still slightly janky when he talked a lot, but the face replacement was so much better. Because Disney hired the guy from YouTube who did the better fucking face replacement.
Yep.
Like that's the way
How
it should
crazy
be.
is that?
What,
That
Sean?
was pretty impressive.
What was that, Sean?
I said, how crazy is that? A rando on YouTube does a better job, and then the bigwigs come in and you're hired, man. That's pretty awesome.
That's the way it
Yep.
should be. They should be
Yeah.
hiring outside,
Exactly.
and they do that realistically. Like it's happened repeatedly, but like in this case, it was just significantly better isolated technology, which was really fucking funny. But this guy basically invented that version of deepfaking, so it makes sense that they would bring him in, and it will be infinitely valuable for them because we can continue down the Luke building the Jedi Academy storyline this way. And Mark Hamill actually voiced him too, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
So he had to pretend to be young Mark Hamill, which I thought was weird. It's like he doesn't sound like that now, so he's actually got to put on a fucking young Luke voice.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So they don't in the credits they don't give the body double the credit. They give Mark Hamill the credit,
Yeah.
which I thought was
Well,
hilarious.
because Mark Hamill actually did sell his rights, his image rights, to Disney.
For at least Luke, yeah.
Yeah.
They own the right to the Luke
So,
face.
and same with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, so supposedly we're in is it the Obi-Wan series we get younger or we get Han?
Possibly.
I think it's Obi-Wan.
Or no, well, no, actually, because on IMDb, Harrison Ford is actually listed in the Book of Boba Fett. So
Oh, no, that was a fuck up then. Because
it might have been a fuck up,
I think that's a fuck up because
or
I think he's coming in the
something was filmed and it was edited out.
possible because we know it's clear they removed stuff like for
Oh yeah,
time and they got to
yeah,
stop doing that. They really have to stop removing shit because like we know that that caused a lot of problems in WandaVision. It caused problems in several of the other Marvel series where they've removed stuff that actually filled the story out better,
yep,
just for time. It's like fuck your time. It's like stop trying to push this shit out as fast as possible and make the best thing you can instead. And I think that's the
exactly.
difference between Mando, where they have more time to spread it out.
Yeah,
But you know, you talked earlier, and I think that this would have been better off if they could just continued it under the Mandalorian title, but as
yeah,
a different chapter. So like
exactly.
this would have worked out better as a chunk of Mando season 3,
Yeah,
and even going back and forth would be good. Like okay, we see some stuff with Din, and then we see stuff with Boba, and then we know that time is passing in between, and then eventually they cross over again, you know, they interact together again.
yeah,
I feel like that makes more sense than having Mando take over and come in and be the biggest part of the back half of fucking this series. Now, it's nice to get the crossover storytelling, but at that point, don't give it a different fucking title.
no, exactly.
Give it a different subtitle. Like
Yeah,
if you want to call this Star Wars Universes or some shit like that, and then this chapter will be The Mandalorian. This chapter will be Book of Boba Fett. This chapter is Ahsoka. Give it an overall title and give it a chapter title because
yeah,
there's going to be crossover between all of them, especially if we get any concurrent series, which is also really good. It's like, so if stuff is happening, that's one thing I loved about the Flareoverse on the CW. The series were running concurrently, three separate shows, and then you would end up with a crossover several times in one big crossover, and events are referenced in between the three different series or four different series. And as cheesy as it was, or good or bad, the concept of that universe made fucking sense.
yeah,
You know, and Marvel's starting to do that with getting crossover between movies and the TV in the Disney Plus series and stuff like that. So Star Wars needs to start doing the same thing. Like we got Ahsoka and we got Mando in this, and now both are going off to do their own individual series. It's like, but how about instead of doing cameos back and forth, we actually have the crossover within the series themselves.
exactly.
Like we do 3 episodes straight of Ahsoka, and then that leads into 3 episodes of Boba, and then it goes to 3 episodes of Mando, and then we have the crossover in between. You know, each one is leading to the next within the same timeline, not being jumping back and forth, you know, months apart. You
Well,
know,
no, it would work for me because it just leaves you just head scratching. Okay, when does this take place again? Is it here? Is it there? Is it
yeah,
whatever?
yeah,
So
and building lore and stuff is great. Like building the backstory, giving it, showing us the Night of a Thousand Tears,
yeah,
that kind of stuff. Building a more history with the dark saber, him
yeah,
learning how to use it. I mean, he wielded it fairly effectively against the droids, so he was definitely getting better at the idea.
yeah,
So that's
true.
good. And then we get everything with Grogu and his character development. But why was that such a big part of a series that had nothing to do
With
titularly with
Boba Fett.
Mando? Yeah.
Well, yeah. See,
Why was they didn't give Boba enough time to we should have got 2 seasons of Boba before fucking overlapping this shit. Because
Think in a way. Here's my theory on that. Okay, because obviously Luke has Luke, the Luke Grogu dynamic, right,
yeah,
has nothing really to do with Book of Boba Fett.
at all.
Not so much, right?
Had nothing to do with it. It was
No,
completely
nothing,
outside of it.
nothing. And bringing in Ahsoka into it, that obviously has nothing to do with it.
Yep.
It's like they're trying to set it up for the Ahsoka series, and they had to put it somewhere. So let's put it in Book of Boba Fett, right?
Because,
And
but that's your lead in for that series. That's your teaser. That's your
yeah, but even that you could have done so much better, and you could have done that in, say, Mandalorian,
they could have
right?
made. Well, I mean, they did, but yeah, but they could have made. I get what you're saying though. Keep the
Yeah, yeah,
Mandalorian stuff separate.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, essentially,
So
you just put in a filler episode that really didn't have to be there.
okay, so how about this? If they had restructured this, so we did Mando series 1, right?
Yeah,
Then we did Boba Fett, uh, all of the Tuscan stuff, and then leading up to when he leaves Tatooine to go find his armor.
yeah,
And then we get it. Then at that point, we had concurrently started season 2 of Mando, and then we get the crossover at the same time. So he leaves Tatooine to go find his fucking armor, and then he shows up in Mando to get his fucking armor.
yeah,
All of that would have been so much better for the world building, and you could have let all that stuff breathe. We could have really made it work.
exactly.
And then he comes back to Tatooine for the next season, and then the next season is him trying to fucking everything that happened modern day on Tatooine leading up to that. But then we get the Mando crossover when he asks Mando for help, or coincidentally. So third season of Mando starts leading up to Darksaber, him getting kicked out of the thing, and then needing to go back to Tatooine. And then we get that crossover into the second season of Boba Fett. And then,
There we go.
see, if they had done it the way the CW planned out their shows and overlapped them so that they're concurrent, but it's like Torchwood and Doctor Who.
Yeah,
They were both concurrent and overlapped
yep,
to where the timelines matched up. So if something happened in Torchwood, it led directly into the events that crossed over into Doctor Who. And so,
exactly.
that kind of stuff. Even though it wasn't.
And even into the Sarah Jane Chronicles on top of
Yes,
that.
yes,
You
exactly.
know,
Well,
it's
we're in. Oh,
perfectly
that's
timed, it's all aligned, and it works.
yeah. That's the other thing I forgot to mention from my week. We've been going back through the '05 and up series for Doctor Who, getting the wifey caught up because she started at the Matt Smith era.
Ah,
I figured that was an easier place to start to try to get her caught up through modern Capaldi. It just made more sense
I
because
suppose.
everything from Matt Smith to Peter Capaldi is one timeline. Everything from Eccleston through Tennant was one
Yeah.
timeline. So it makes sense to do that. So she enjoyed the Eccleston season. It was fun rewatching that because there's some stuff I forgot. And now we just started the first 2 episodes of Tennant's run.
Nice.
So she's enjoying it. So she gets to fall in love with David Tennant over 3 seasons.
Number 10.
Oh, and we're gonna do Torchwood.
Sweet.
We are gonna do Torchwood at the appropriate time.
Oh, yeah.
So she gets because she liked Jack and she wanted to see more of him. I was like, well, actually, Sean, did you
Yeah,
ever
not
did
too
you ever
heavy.
did you ever get into Doctor Who?
No.
Okay, no, there's a hell of a series you can fucking watch.
Yeah, especially with the 60th anniversary coming up.
Yep, and it is on HBO. I just found that out. All like 13 fucking seasons, 14 fucking seasons of Doctor Who are on HBO.
You know what? That was the other thing about Roku as well. The live
Oops.
Roku TV, they
Yeah.
also have the entire classic Doctor Who series.
Oh, that's actually pretty important. So that means
Yeah.
a couple of those things were bought out by BBC or from BBC, I guess.
Yep.
So I think
And
that's
it's
a pretty good.
glorious. I love watching all the old episodes.
Yeah, well, I'm not big on the old Who, like original Who, but it is what it is. But I would
Yeah.
definitely, Sean, I would definitely suggest that since you already have HBO.
I'll try it.
and it's good background stuff too.
Huh.
So if
Okay.
you're in between major series, like when we have a break here after Peacemaker's over,
Uh-huh.
um, and then I guess on a different show, if we do more of these, because you talked about the Wheel of Time, but I'm completely unfamiliar with the book series or the series itself.
Yeah,
So
Right.
same here.
because you're into a lot more other fantasy and sci-fi stuff than I even know, so we're gonna have to dig into your expertise on things and different stuff like that at some point.
It does sound really interesting though for a show.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously there's a book, but I'm not familiar with either. So if I'd have to catch up quick, I'd probably have to just watch the show.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
definitely.
the show, series one of the show covers about book 1.5, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah.
But the Wheel of Time series is, I think, 19 novels.
Jesus.
Wow.
Oh,
It's pretty deep.
I do want to start The Expanse. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have,
that's
have either of
that's pretty
you
good.
have you watched it?
I've gone through season one, and slowly starting on season two. And I know the series is over now, with season six.
Yeah.
But and from what I've heard, they've alluded to something more at the end of season six, but I haven't gotten that far.
From what Pinkerton said, yeah.
Yeah. So
What about you, Sean?
yeah, because everybody was talking about it, and I thought, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I'll check this out. So
Yeah. Sean, have you seen it?
I've seen 2 episodes.
Okay, so you started it at least.
Yeah.
Did you just not go back to it, or did you not like it?
No, it's not that I didn't like it. It's like
You didn't get hooked yet?
right, it's right on the verge of where it can keep my attention. It's
Yeah,
just teeter-tottering.
that's a rule of three, right? Three in, three out.
Yeah,
So if you
pretty
didn't quite
much.
get three in where it would have hooked you, So yeah, that's my deal. I want to start it, but I also didn't want to start it on my own. I wanted to watch what the wifey. I don't like starting new series that I think she'll enjoy without her. But yeah, that being said, I do tend to watch the new episodes of Peacemaker before, because I don't want to wait all night, you know. But we tend to watch
Right.
it. If we have time, we tend to watch it on Thursdays before I live stream. Um, and if not, we'll watch it on Saturday whenever I get home from work. But she's actually enjoying the Peacemaker series, which is funny. And she actually
Wow.
really liked the Suicide Squad. Actually both of them, technically speaking. So I got her into nerd culture stuff. She had no clue about any of this. So all of
Right.
her exposure has been through me, you know. So we don't really have a
that
whole
being
lot.
said,
Say what?
with that being said,
Yeah, so that being said, it does seem like a good place to go ahead and call it since we're already a little over 2.5 hours. Well, I guess we'll talk Peacemaker next week because we got to see where this is going since we left off on going to kill the cow.
yeah.
So, okay, just real quick though, since before we go, what do you guys think of the reveal of the cow?
Um, that's that's a pretty damn big cow.
It
Yeah,
looks like something off Starship Troopers.
it does, and a lot of people have
Yeah,
drawn that
thank
comparison.
you. I was like, it was like there in my head. It's like this seems so familiar, right?
Yeah,
This big giant. And first I thought I'm looking at two eyes, and then obviously the
it
camera pulls
it had
back, and it's
way
like,
more.
oh wow, there's more, and it's freaking honking huge, and it's rather blobby. And where have I seen this before?
Yeah,
Thank you. Yes,
it's similar.
Starship Troopers. It's the brain bug,
It's similar to the brain bug, but
and bigger.
way bigger.
Yeah,
The eyes were just creepy as fuck.
yeah,
Because the wifey's like, look at all the holes in it. And like, those aren't holes, those are its eyes. And she's like, I know, but because I got that, what is it, tryptophobia or whatever, where you don't like,
Oh, I
yeah.
hate that shit.
hate that shit. It fucking bothers me. It really creeps me the fuck out. But either way, the singular sharp tooth in the middle, I thought was like, is this thing a baby? Like, what the fuck?
Huge.
But also nipples on a bug. I was like, oh, what the fuck?
Dude,
Can you milk me,
count me
Greg?
in.
And it's an alien bug.
It's an alien bug, but it's got nipples, so what the fuck? So this should
And
be
meaty.
interesting.
It's awfully meaty for a bug.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
actually, that
no,
reminds me.
no
That
carapace shell, no exoskeleton.
that we can
It's
tell. Yeah.
is it really a bug at that point? It's more like
Well, they call it a cow. I
it's
mean,
like a land whale,
it
with lots of eyes.
yeah. That does remind me of a Torchwood episode.
Yeah.
Meat. That was a fucked up episode.
Oh my God.
And might have very similar outcome, technically speaking. But my
Probably.
prediction, since we're not going to talk about the series as a whole, here's my prediction: they're going to find a way to not kill it, but to just transport it somewhere safe.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think they'll kill it. One, they don't have the ability to unless they blow it up. But
Okay.
I think given Peacemaker's current mindset of not really wanting to kill anymore, and after watching Myrn die,
Yeah.
I think that nobody will want to kill this thing. They'll consider it as something innocent, and they'll deal with the butterflies in another way, and they'll transport the cow somewhere else safely. I think that's what they'll do. That's just me.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. True. I mean, this is James Gunn we're talking about, so
Yeah.
because yeah, and now
Well,
that I'm thinking about this more, it's
yeah.
it's going to be either I think okay, my prediction is okay. It's either yeah, like what you said. It's probably because it looks kind of cute until obviously you pull back, and
It's
see the whole.
terrifying and cute.
Yeah, it's terrifyingly cute. So it's probably, yeah, you're right with the teleporter. It's probably going to be whisked away somewhere, where it's going to be living out its life in peace and happiness, or where Peacemaker just doesn't want to kill humans anymore and he has no problem with killing aliens.
Well, he
Uh,
did already say that. Well, he doesn't care
yeah,
about killing aliens that are inhumans.
true. I think somebody is probably going to dive inside said cow and probably blow it up from the inside.
Yeah, but there's only one person on their team who would be that stupid.
Exactly.
And he blew up a little bit this past episode.
There you go.
So we'll see. I don't know. Was that foreshadowing?
Maybe.
Okay. But either way,
Could be.
let's go ahead and call it there, gentlemen. Since we don't have any questions or anything else like that, because we're brand new, we're just getting started on this trial run episode. Well, hopefully, if we put this out, people will go like, "Hey, we got questions for you," or I'll just put up a poll somewhere and ask people if they have any pop culture questions for us. But either way, so guys, it's been fun talking to y'all, obviously.
Yes.
And one last time, where the people need to find you, Mike?
Find me on YouTube at the Comic Relief Crusader or any of the Transformer groups on Facebook or freelancegraphics.com.
There you go. .com. Yes, where you can buy
With
your
an
merch.
IKS, not ICS.
Yes, it will be linked down below. And then Sean.
ShaunDiesel at ShaunDiesel's Body Shop on Facebook. Don't find me, I'll find you.
Yeah, and that's Body with T's, not D.
Yeah.
As in Botty shop, because it's bots, y'all. And then, of course, I am Shoki of Shoki Reviews 2, and it doesn't have to make sense. You can follow me on whatever the fuck, because odds are I'm posting this on my own YouTube where people will be able to find it in the first place. So, and then Mike's going to show it on his as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Peace.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.